Hold on a second. Mr. Beck, the representative from Lake Development would like to know if he can come in via phone, if he has to join via video.
First of all, could he identify himself?
What?
No. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Say it again.
I'm in now.
Are you in the meeting, sir?
But I'm not feeling so well, so I want to know.
You have to join the meeting, sir.
Sir, you are a corporation, and are you represented by counsel?
He doesn't have any counsel, Mr. Beck. He just wants to know if he can join via phone or if he has to join with video.
Well, he has to do both, at the very least, to present himself to the board.
You have to join with video. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So if you want to jump to the next one, he said he's still joining.
We'll come back to it. Let's move to CPB 20-70, 20-34 Main Street, and it's also an extension to Marshall Moore.
I also just want to know for the record, member Baez is here.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. My name is Marcia Moore on behalf of the applicant, 28 Main Street Associates LLC. As noted, this is a second request for an extension. We were before this board in 2021, proposing a 5-story, 66-unit building. The applicant has worked through their resolution compliance. However, we are requesting an extension so we can finalize our financial agreement with the city. This is a second extension for 1-year extension.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Hearing none. Are there any questions or comments from the public?
Seeing none, Chair.
In that case, I need a motion. I caught second. Moved by Co-Chair Witcher, second by Commissioner Baez. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan. Commissioner Baez?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Timmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan is having audio trouble. So I'm just going to put no vote for her. Co-Chair Witcher?
Yes.
Chair Richardson?
Yes. Your extension has been approved.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Let's move to CPB 20-12, which is 15 Calumet Street. And the Lansing is also an extension.
Also, Commissioner Scott Roundtree has joined us.
Good evening, board. Miles Hunter for the applicant, Marcelo De Freitas. We are requesting a 1-year extension of this application, of the approval. We've been working with, my client's been working with both the architect, the planning board office, as well as the engineering department and the water department. We finally have the engineering department sign off. We're ready for that, but we're still waiting on the water sewer department to finalize its review. The water sewer department took quite a few months to get that back to us, but my client received assurances that they can address everything from the architect as set forth on the January 17th, 2024 memo from John Barry, the planner.
Thank you. Is this the first extension?
It is.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on this extension?
It's on 1 year. It's on 1 year or 2 years, Chairman.
1 year, I'm sorry.
I had a question, Chair.
Okay, which,
Mr. Hunter, how long do you need the extension to last?
We'd like to have 1 year just in case we believe that everything can be done in less than that year time to get everything approved and then permits pulled.
Thank you.
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the public?
Seeing none, Chair.
In that case, I need a motion.
Motion.
Moved by Commissioner Baez, there's second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner De Silva. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan? She's still having audio trouble. Commissioner Baez?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree?
Yes, I'm having a problem with my phone again, but yes.
Okay. Commissioner Timmons?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher?
Yes.
Chair Richardson?
Yes, application extension has been approved. Good luck.
Thank you.
Chair,
Madam Secretary, is that gentleman back yet?
Yes, I'm gonna promote him now.
Okay. This is CPB 22-36.
He's on.
Mr. Fernandez, are you on?
I'm sorry, did you call me?
You're the applicant. You're looking for an extension, correct?
Oh, no, I work for the city. Sorry, wrong Fernandez.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Dan, he's on as SB. Can you come off of mute and turn on your camera?
Hi. Can you see me? Do you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Beck, get him sworn in.
Yes, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Simon Bowden, the owner of Lake Development. My address is 23 Sequoia Street, Lakewood, New Jersey, 08701.
If you would do me a favor and spell your last name.
B as in boy, A-U-M as in Mary, Bowden.
Okay, and you were represented by counsel previously, correct?
Correct. Mr. Foster. Simone.
Nasto Simos. Okay, so you're here representing yourself and you're asking for an extension.
That is correct.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, he's been sworn. He can proceed.
Okay. So you need an extension, why? And for how long?
We would ask for, being that I'm not an attorney, I don't know what the options are, but a year or two would be sufficient. We're running into some things that are slowing us down, primarily with the bank rates, and it's a very tight project because we were looking for a larger unit amount, and we took a smaller unit amount to keep the neighborhood happy. So it's tight, but we're trying to make it work. We're also working with the city through our attorney, Lana Webster, and things like that, putting together an abatement. So it's a process, and everything has to come together all at the same time.
So how much time do you need?
If a 2 year is an option, it would just give us time to breathe and work properly and diligently.
Mr. Chairman, if I might interject, it typically, anytime we have a corporation LLC appear before the board, They're represented by counsel. We understand Mr. Fausto Simos is not available. What I would suggest is the board would take into consideration a 1-year extension of the approvals, and this particular applicant can come back to the board at a later date, perhaps with counsel, without counsel, but I think we should just consider a 1-year extension.
1 year? Okay, we'll take that under advisement from our council. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Or any questions or comments from the public?
Seeing none, Chair.
In that case, I need a motion on a 1-year extension.
Make a motion for 1-year extension.
Second,
Moved by Commissioner Byers, second by Commissioner Roundtree. Roll call, Madam.
Commissioner Jordan? You give me a thumbs up, Commissioner Jordan, thumbs down. Okay. There's a thumbs up. Commissioner Baez?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree?
yes.
Commissioner Timmons?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher?
Yes.
Chair Richardson?
Yes, your extension has been approved. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's move to CPB 23-96, which is a minor subdivision. Are the applicants available?
Yes. Just noting that Commissioner Purdy has arrived. Ms. Rebecca, you can.
Okay, awesome. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca Mariello. I'm an attorney at Connell Foley, and we're here on behalf of the applicant tonight, 341 S10 LLC. Just by way of background, the applicant is an owner of a property located on block 1783, lot 28. Right now on that property, there is a 3-family house and a driveway. It is in the R3 zone, which permits 1 to 2 family houses. And the applicant is proposing to subdivide lot 28 into lots 28.01 and 28.02. The current lot is 5,000 square feet.
It goes west on West Market Street or Bruce Street.
So whoever that is, mute your device, please. You don't know how to get to Market Street, shame on you.
Somebody must have took over or something, Chairman.
Please continue.
Thank you. So the subdivision would create 2 lots that are 2,500 square feet, which conforms with the zoning in the R3 zone. We were originally going to go before the board tonight to request 7 variances, C variances, but after receipt of the staff report and the engineering report, we were able to discuss this project with our team and make accommodations. So now tonight we're only going to seek 3 variances for insufficient front yard setback, side yard setback, and parking. I will let our engineer/planner go into it more by her testimony, but we are going to remove the existing fence on the property. There's a garage that's currently existing on the property that we're going to remove, as well as a driveway. So if I could call my one and only witness tonight, Kirsten Osterkorn.
Yes.
Is she on the Zoom?
Yes, I'm promoting her now.
Thank you.
Let me turn the light on.
Better.
Good evening. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and affiliation to this application.
Kirsten Osterkorn from Omland in Osterkorn. I am the surveyor, engineer, and planner on this application.
Thank you. Counsel, you may proceed.
Ms. Osterkorn, can you please give the board the benefit of your education, your background, and your licensing? Sure. I have my bachelor's in engineering from Rutgers University from 2006, and I have my license in engineering in the state of New Jersey from 2011. I have my bachelor's in surveying from NJIT from 2011, and my license from 2011 as well. And then I have my planner's license in the state of New Jersey from 2015. All are still in good standing. I have been in front of Newark before. I think I was in front of the zoning board previously. I am trying to, but I know I've been in front of this board before. I mean, in Newark before. I do a lot of work in Bergen County, but I've also been in Essex, Union, Hudson, and Passaic. I've had a couple applications in South Orange recently that I've been in front of, as well as Jersey City.
Is your license current?
Yes, all of them are.
You are accepted by the board, and you're testifying tonight under which license?
All of them.
Okay, all right. You're accepted by the board.
In case questions are asked. So, Ms. Osterkorn, can you please tell the board about the materials you reviewed in preparation of today's hearing and the plans that you prepared, and walk the board through this project? Sure. Can I share my screen? Yes, I can. Our office, we prepared the sheet 1 of 1, which is the proposed subdivision plan for 341 South 10th Street. It is block 1783, lot 28, and we are proposing lots 28.01 and 28.02. We did review, we had received reports from the Department of Engineering, as well as the Central Planning Department from the town. So as the attorney had explained, currently on this lot is an existing 2.5-story frame dwelling. It is a 3-family dwelling. There is a driveway that enters on the south side that enters into the property, and then there's a garage structure in the rear. At the time it was brought for coverages purposes and information. When we had done the field work, we didn't have the exact limits of the driveway that as they come in, but from being out on the site, there it does come in on an angle to the west and to access the garage that's in the rear of the property. Under existing conditions, we have a 5,000 square foot lot, and with the zoning table, we have some existing nonconformities with respect to the side yard setback. On the left side of the sheet, the building has a 0.8 foot setback to the north property line. As part of this application, we were proposing to subdivide on the right side of the page into 2 2,500 square foot lots, which is conforming in lot area. As part of that, when we did the original application, we had listed some variances at the time of with the garage that was staying in the back, which gave us a coverage variances for maximum lot coverage by building and maximum impervious coverage. With that, the existing nonconformity for the side yard setback at 0.8 feet remains. And with the front yard, I'm sorry, I didn't note that before. One of the questions by the planning department is that the front yard setback has to match what's existing on the 2 lots. So on the lot to the south, it's an empty lot. On the lot to the north, the building is 6 feet from the property line. So we would have a front yard setback variance as an existing nonconformity that we're at 3 feet when trying to match the neighbor to the right is at 6 feet. That would still remain under proposed conditions. And the other setback variance that got added in that was part of the planner's report is with the new subdivision line, the southern or the left setback would be 2.1 feet. We were creating 2 conforming lots at 25 foot in width.
So we weren't able to meet that 3-foot setback on the left side of the existing dwelling that would remain. For the proposed lot that would just, at this point, it's a vacant lot, we're here for the subdivision. We had given zoning information just because of the garage in the back, but ultimately, if and when that property gets developed, it would be conforming with setbacks and coverages. If not, the owner would end up coming back in front of the board for that reason. But at this time, it's that 28.01 would be a conforming lot. The other variances that we had listed that the attorney had gone over was with respect to coverages, but from our conversations, we understood from the applicant that the garage in the back would be coming down as this property wouldn't have access anymore to the back. So with that, we don't have a variance for building coverage. Originally, it was listed at 61%. The building coverage would come down to 44%, where 50% is permitted. So we would comply with that aspect. And then for overall coverage, we had listed it at 70.6%, but with the removal of the garage, we would be down to 53.6%, where 65% is permitted. So those variances would be taken off. So at this point, we have our setbacks for side yard to the north and to the south, as well as to the front yard. And this is only all within lot 28.02. Lot 28.01 would stay conforming. The other variances that were listed was with respect to the fence. But after speaking with the applicant, all the fencing would be removed. There was a question in both reports about the fencing in the public right of way that runs along behind the sidewalk. With respect to being in the right of way and the type of fencing. So that fencing would get taken out, so those variances would not be there anymore. And then with the shade tree, we would comply. It was that there was 0 shade trees provided for lot 28.01. So if approved as a condition, we would be providing that tree to not have that variance as well. Overall, when we looked at the neighborhood, you have, with it being a conforming lot of 2,500 square feet, we're keeping an existing structure that is on site and adding another dwelling, being able to add another dwelling unit to the neighborhood. We viewed that as a positive, but we're staying all within the requirements of the ordinance from respect to zoning for all the setbacks and coverages, that there would be no negative impact. If approved, when they go to develop, a plot plan would have to be done, a grading and plot plan to provide requirements for drainage and grading, and all that's required from the engineering department and the water and sewer department. But overall, when we had read the engineer's letter, there are some additional details. They would like the topography to be on a different datum, which we would update and provide. And they wanted to see the utilities in the street with respect to the manholes and any inlets, and being able to show the utilities in South 10th Street. But from their last comments, I think I was able to address what was happening with the fence, and the other part with the garage being removed, that would address the 4A comment from the engineer's letter of not having a party wall or it being separated, because the garage in the back would be taken down. Just looking to some of the other comments in the planner's letter. Ultimately, all the bigger ticket items, additional details and things that we can add to the plan, we would do. I can turn it back to the attorney if there's some specific questions of the letters or from the professionals that I should address.
Yeah, can we talk about the parking variance and
Yes.
the traffic and the parking in this area, and how we could address that without there being a substantial detriment to the zoning or the public good?
Yes. So I did look down the street and in this area how there are some houses that don't have any garages or parking, and then there are the ones that do have the parking. Some are kind of half driveways into a garage, and then other ones that have the driveways that go to the back. Currently on this property, you have a double wide property with a driveway that goes to the back from visiting and seeing the site, it appears to be more used by, if it's a 3-family, just one of the tenants using it, because of all of jockeying the cars around. It's not like the driveway currently is being used by multiple tenants. It's one, and other people are parking in the street. From some on-street parking data that we were able to obtain, the overnight parking availability in this area, what the data had shown that a weekday overnight had 27 spaces available. That between some of the other houses that have their own parking on site and what was available within this street and neighboring streets, this street specifically had the 27 spaces that were available overnight. And throughout a 5-minute walk on other streets, it ended up totaling closer to 86 spaces that were available overnight. The other parts that have been shown just in this area of that either not having cars or not using them for the commuting purposes, that we have the bus stops that are on both South 10th Street and South Orange Ave. The one on South 10th Street is only about 150 feet away. The one on South Orange Ave, or no, vice versa. South Orange is closer. That was 150 feet away, and 13th was about 800 feet away. But both of those, it's the Route 5 bus route and the Route 96 that service Newark, Newark Penn Station, the Newark Light Rail, and East Orange. That with that close public transportation, we didn't feel that looking at overall in the neighborhood of while we'd be having 2 dwellings next to each other with on-street parking and be able to eventually close up that curb cut and make another space, that looking at the surrounding neighborhood, that it wasn't going to be any sort of detriment to the current parking that's there, and also given the public transportation that's around the neighborhood.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions that they want to ask Ms. Osterkorn?
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Charlie has his hand up. Chair Richardson.
Who?
Charles Trafficante, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. Let's get him sworn in, Mr. Beck.
Mr. Trafficante, you solemnly swear the testimony about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Please briefly state your name and your affiliation to this application.
My name is Charles Trafficante. I am a principal engineer and a professional engineer. I am in the employment of the City of Newark Department of Engineering. My license is active and in good standing with the State Board.
Thank you.
Ms. Osterkorn, you mentioned you found around over 80 spaces within a 5-minute walk, which could be how far away in your parking evaluation or parking study?
We had data that was provided from, it was South 11th Street, 10th Street, 9th Street, and then on 13th Ave between the same, between 11th, 10th, and then 10th and 9th.
Did you actually go out and count these spaces yourself or rely on other studies?
No, I did not personally do that.
How many of them? I'm sorry.
No, it was data provided to me from another parking study that was done in the area on the same street.
How many of those spaces was in a 300-foot radius of this site? Of those 80 some odd spaces, how many would you say were in 300-foot radius?
I can't specifically answer that to a hard number. I'm sorry.
And you're going to eliminate the existing masonry garage, which will trigger a need for how many on-site parking spaces? 3, 6? How many are we looking at?
Hold on a second, sorry. I didn't go in the garage, but from what I was provided with the owner was that 3 cars can get in the garage, but it's also full of not cars.
Mm-hmm. So you're gonna lose 3 parking spaces for both lots, or 3 for each lot?
It was just they had said it was 3 total that could get in there. It just wasn't actually being used as a garage.
And you're just looking for approval for the subdivision at this time, but as a result, you're gonna need a variance for the 3 parking spaces you're gonna lose for the existing 2.5-story frame. Is that correct?
That's correct, for the existing, what the owner does with the other lot, if he eventually proposes a dwelling unit that can accommodate parking and it's set back further, or if he would need a parking variance, he'd have to come back again for whatever is gonna get developed next door. I mean, on lot 28.01.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trafficante. Can you stop sharing your screen, please? All right. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Chair, I have a
Co-chair, sure.
Thank you. So we are taking down what's there, taking down the garages, and at this point, you're only building one dwelling. Am I correct?
We're taking down the garage and we're not proposing any new dwelling at this point. This is just for the subdivision. So the existing building will remain.
All right, so just to change that lot line. And you said that the garage was being used for something other than cars. What do they have back there?
I didn't go inside. I didn't have the permission to go walk inside. Just given the information, it wasn't a active garage where the cars are coming in and out. It was, what I understood from it, it's more of a storage.
All right. So if it's coming down, this may be for the attorney. If it's coming down, could you please have that area baited? Baited for pests.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Commissioner.
Ms. Mayorelli, so if that garage is coming down, would it be possible to have the area around the home baited? It seems like there was just junk or something in there and not cars.
I I don't think that the testimony was that there was like junk that was attracting pests. I think that, in any condition that this board approves, it has to be reasonably related to the request that we're seeking. When you say baited, I'm just not sure what condition.
Yeah, she's referring to rodents.
No, understood.
If I might, this is Dan Beck, counsel. I guess maybe I'm looking for a simple solution to maybe not such a simple position, and just tell me to step down if I need to. We're demolishing a building, and I guess what the question may or may not be, and maybe I misunderstood it, is being baited, meaning we're going to eliminate any opportunity for vermin or vermin to be present, and the property is going to be treated as such. And if I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, you know what? We could accommodate that, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, are there any questions or comments about this subdivision from the public?
Seeing none, Chair.
In that case, I need a motion. I need a mover and a second.
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Purdy.
Seconded with the condition that the area be treated.
Sound good.
Duly noted. Second by Co-Chair Richard. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Baez?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yeah.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree?
Absent.
Okay. Commissioner Timmons? Commissioner Timmons, was that a yes?
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher,
Yes.
Chair Richardson.
Yes. Your application has been approved. Good luck.
Thank you to the board for your time and your consideration tonight.
Thank you.
Let's move to CPB 23-66, which is 76-88 Roanoke Avenue. Are the applicants available?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Webster.
Chairman, how are you? Good to see you. Mr. Beck, Barry, good to see you.
It's on you, brother. Let's go.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Elnardo Webster. I'm a partner at the law firm of Connell Foley, located at 1 Newark Center, 1085 Raymond Boulevard in Newark. We represent the applicant Sims Metal East LLC. The applicant currently operates an existing metal collection facility with the property located at 76-80 Roanoke Avenue, designated as Block 5004, Lot 1 on Newark's tax map. The applicant has applied to the board for preliminary and final approval to allow for installation of an outdoor storage bin on the property. The property is located in the city's I-3 heavy industrial zone. Outdoor storage is a conditional use in the zone where the applicant meets the condition that minimum 6 feet of fencing is required and the materials are not visible above the fence. I provided notice to the board and to the board secretary. I believe that's all appropriate and in order. Sims Metal East is the operator of an existing metal facility. The property is about 360,000 square feet. It's currently a 1-story masonry building on which the houses the operations and sorting of separate recycling materials that are rebundled and sold. There are 32 employees on site. Regular business hours are between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Sundays. No changes in the operation are proposed as a result of this improvement. Sims process is to install 1 outdoor storage bin. Essentially what we're doing, board, is that we have some outdoor piles of materials that we recycle, and we're just covering them up. We need to preserve the materials and take care of them. So really not a big application. There are obviously some engineering things that we've had to address. Mr. Chairman, I'm in receipt of a report dated March 1st, 2024. I'm also in receipt of a city planner's memorandum dated March 3rd, 2024. We've reviewed the reports and will comply with all the conditions set forth therein, with the exception of section 5, little I2, and section 10, little I1 of the engineering report. And the reason we're not complying with those sections are that we don't believe we have to, because we're not proposing any underground utilities on the site, and we don't believe those two are applicable as a result. After review of the reports, the applicant will be seeking the following relief from the board, which our professional will discuss through our testimony. We have insufficient parking. We have excessive illumination on the parking lot. We have excessive height of the wall-mounted light. We have excessive fence height, which is required as part of the conditions for outdoor storage use. And we have a maximum impervious front and rear yard. We exceed the maximum impervious front and rear yard. In addition, the applicant is seeking relief for insufficient on-site trees and insufficient shade trees, but agrees to make the requisite contribution to the city's tree fund in lieu. We were requesting design waivers for exceeding maximum driveway width and insufficient landscaping. The property is a super industrial property. It's in the heart of the I-3 industrial zone. We're going to show some pictures, but I think you'll see that the relief requested is warranted. I have 2 witnesses this evening. I have Krishna Sen, my engineer, and then I've got everybody's favorite planner, John McDonough, to hopefully make it make sense. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask Mr. Krishna Sen to be admitted. I'm going to ask him to turn on his camera. He's got his camera on. I see him there. Mr. Krishna, Mr. Sen, you're going to have to unmute yourself. and we're going to voir dire you. Mr. Beck?
Okay, thank you, counsel. Good evening. Do you
Good evening.
solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and affiliation to this application.
Yes, I am Krishna Sen and I am the engineer of this application. And I have bachelor in engineering and I have total 29 years of experience. And I am a P of New Jersey and another 11 states. And I am the director of engineering of my engineering company. And that's it.
Mr. Shin, Mr. Chairman, I'm asking Mr. Sen to be qualified as a civil engineer. His license is
Thank you.
standing.
You're accepted by the board. Please continue.
Thank you. Mr. Sen, I know you reviewed some materials and prepared some drawings. If you'd show your
Yes.
screen and just walk the board through what we're asking for, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, this is a basically site plan approval. So we complete all drawings and I review everything and basically putting a new storage bin of 4,600 square feet. And this is basically going exactly the same location. It was previously one storage building. And we do not disturbing any existing utilities. Just doing little grading around this area.
Mr. Shin, would you show the board, could you share your screen and just show the board the site plan and just show them where the design of the plant and where everything is going?
Okay, how do I attach my screen?
Miss Board Secretary, Ms. Evans Pearson usually will allow everybody to share in this mode. You should be able to press a button that says at the bottom of your screen that says share screen on your computer to show your screen. You know what I'm going to ask? I'm going to make my life a little easier. I'm going to ask Mr. McDonough to share his screen. He's got a report and a plan. And John, if you can hear me, if you could just share your screen and then Mr.
Okay, so
Walk over it. Are you in the car still? Uh-oh.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I can. You want me to try to get the actual plan?
Or just show a picture in your. I know you have a report. Just show your report so the board can just see what we're talking about real quick.
You got it.
Thanks. I just want them to see. Then Mr. Shane can describe what we're seeing. All right, so it looks like Kristen started sharing. All right, perfect. He started sharing. All right, great. There you go.
Yeah, I got intercepted.
Okay, he's sharing. All right. So just walk us through it, Mr. Sen. Just tell the board what's going on here.
okay, so it's actually not moving friendly. The screen is not moving friendly. So let me just. Okay, so maybe the file is little heavy. This is why the screen is giving, but hopefully it should work now.
One more turn. There you go. Perfect. Oh.
It's too. Yeah, it's taking a lot of time. So just. Okay, so here is. So this is the north arrow. So basically, this is our work area, the new bin A, and in the same area there was a existing one-story building. We had a permit. We demolished that building, and in the same place the new bin is going. This is a three-sided bin, prefabrication beam building is coming on top of a concrete footing. And that is basically our total disturbance area. And this is Roanoke Avenue. And the rest of the site is going to remain as it is. And these are all existing parking lot buildings.
So you can see where it is. It's wedged in between Conrail, between a couple of rail lines, between 1 and 9. There's nothing really going on there. It's a little bit of a odd shaped property. And it's, you know, it's been there for a long time and it's going to continue to do what it does. All we're doing is putting in a bin. And I don't have any further questions, Mr. Chairman. If there are any questions from the board or the public, I yield my witness.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Charles Trafficante has a question coming.
Mr. Trafficante, you're still under oath, sir.
Oh, okay. I don't have to be sworn in?
No.
All right. Mr. Sen,
Yes.
a couple of questions. For the record, either you or your client's attorney clarify what items in the engineering report dated March 1st you cannot comply with? I got item 5, Roman numeral 2. What are the others?
And the other one was section 10, Roman numeral 1.
Item 5, right?
Item 5, number 2, we will not be providing trench drains as the property does not have underground utilities. In item 10, number 1, we will not be milling, repaving utility trenches as the property will not have underground utilities.
Right.
Mr. Sen, do you know for certain that none of the runoff from this site drains out into Roanoke Ave?
Say again, please. I could not hear you.
You know for certain that there is no runoff from this site or drains off or runs off into Roanoke Avenue, especially at the entrance.
Yeah, from the entrance, probably half of the entrance we have shown here is going south side, and then the less than little half is going to the Roanoke side. But we can read out, because this is already a concrete area. It was sloped that way in our previous permit, which we did like in 2007, and that time it was approved as it is, because we need a little slope towards the Roanoke Avenue to track to come inside, and that slope is dated there.
So you're testifying that a portion of the entrance does drain out to Roanoke Avenue. Is that correct?
Yes, less than half of that entrance. Yes.
Is there any way you can either regrade that entrance so that nothing runs out into the public right of way, or satisfy the engineering requirement, provide a trench drain which you can connect to this existing inlet?
Again, if we try to do that one, then the level of the Roanoke Avenue and the entrance will be a little high. So the track in, there will be a bump type things. So that was the engineering that time, and is like we are not basically touching that area. It will be remain as it is. But if board is, we can go back and recheck again. But again, as I said, that's less than half area, maybe around square feet wise, 200 square feet area, maybe going towards the Roanoke Avenue.
In order to keep this
It's
out,
very little, very little.
all right. In order to work with you as a condition of approval, would your client be willing to meet with the Department of Engineering and our stormwater team to see if there's something that can be done as far as putting a inlet or a trench drain or something in the corner to catch the runoff from this property rather than allow it to continue to run into the public right of way?
Yes, we will do. Yes.
Also, there are a couple items in the engineering report that requires testimony. One of which was addressed to you, Mr. Webster. Item number.
Yeah, we've looked at the Conrail easement We haven't been able to verify it, but the testimony is that if we are on Conrail property, we will relocate the scales off of Conrail property. But we do think we have an easement. I've run title. I haven't gotten the title report in yet. So as soon as I get the title report in, I'll comply, and we can make that a condition subsequent of the resolution. We will either have produced the easement that gives us permission, or we will relocate the scale off the property.
Okay, and how about the fence? Approach.
Same testimony.
All right. Last question. Item number 2, parking and traffic. Woman number 1. Applicant and/or their attorney shall provide testimony to the board as to the number of required on-site parking spaces that are needed for the subject lot as per the city code, how many on-site parking spaces already exist, and how many on-site spaces are proposed in order to determine if a parking variance is required for this application. Can either of you address that?
Yes, we have 72 parking spaces required. We have 40 provided, but again, it's an existing yard operation. We have 32 employees. We don't need the amount of parking spaces that we have. We've never had a parking issue. So we would. That's why I've asked for a variance for insufficient parking.
All right. So, all right. So one does not exist, but you're asking for one now.
Correct.
Right. And you claim 72 are required, and you want to provide them 40.
Yeah, that's the math. The math we came up with was 72.
All right. No further questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Trafficante.
Does that complete the engineer's testimony?
That does, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question,
Oh,
Chair.
I'm sorry. Chair Jordan. Commissioner Jordan.
What are you using as storage, outdoor storage?
We have right now, it's all outdoor storage. Literally, the way it works is that the materials are come in and they're dumped on the ground, and they're segregated into different piles depending on what they are. The bin system is what we're implementing now, so that they're covered and away from the elements. So right now, everything is just on the ground. It's open to the air.
So do you plan on using containers?
No. It's heavy materials. It's aluminum, it's iron, it's steel. So essentially, we put it on the ground and we separate it, we aggregate it, and we process it by bundling it up and putting it on trucks and shipping it out. So it's an outdoor operation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Next witness.
My last witness is John McDonough. John, we've got a number of variances we're asking for. Parking, illumination, height of some lights, fence height, and impervious front and rear. Would you walk the board through why those are needed and not in a fence plan?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, before I pre-qualify Mr. McDonough, I should have qualified the statement from the previous witness that addressed the issues of the engineering comments. So if Mr. McDonough has any comments that should be addressed vis-a-vis the comments that were asked of the Mr. Trafficante, those should be addressed first. I didn't get an opportunity to ask the prior witness to address them, but in order to stay within protocol, I'd ask that any comments that are made prior to testimony be addressed as it relates to comments or concerns addressed by Mr. Trafficante. So, and that being said, please, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough, and you may proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I know Mr. McDonough is well known to the board.
He's accepted by the board. Please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McDonough, you have the floor.
And I would just ask our engineer if he could yield the screen so I could show some almost real-time pictures of the property.
Mr. Sen, if you could stop sharing.
Okay, now. Okay, I stop sharing. Let's see.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. So I think this is one of those applications where the site will speak for itself. We're here in the I3 zone. That's your most permissive industrial zone. It allows a wide variety of uses, including this sort and separate metal recycling facility, which is a permitted conditional use in the zone and effectively a permitted use because it meets all the conditions. We show here the site in question, which is a single tax lot. It is a very, very spacious lot, sort of equidistant between the turnpike and between 1 and 9. So 2 heavy transportation corridors. We've got rail lines that abut the property as well. And then you can see we're sort of the hole in the donut, if you will, of industrial uses that are around the property. This is an established facility. The applicant is looking for a very simple enhancement to that facility to cover some of the materials that are stored on the property to provide for weather protection, not only for the materials, but for the workers as well. I was out there on the site today. It is a very clean, neat, orderly facility. When you park your car, you see this building, which is part of the larger facility. Gives a sense of the neat and cleanliness of the facility, the orderliness of the facility, which is really as nice as any industrial facility in the area. This is the parking area. Again, you just heard that the parking supply will meet the actual demand here. 40 parking spaces on the site, where 32 are the actual number of people that would be working here. So more than adequate capacity to accommodate the parking load on this site, notwithstanding the relief that the applicant is seeking. This view shows the spacious capacity of the site. This is a truck coming into the facility. Those containers that you see in the back are not on the subject site. So again, just a site that has excellent spatial capacity to accommodate the turning movements of the vehicles that will come onto the site. And this is an example of a vehicle bringing the materials onto the site. And then once you work your way onto the site, there is a weigh scale, and you can see the vehicles being weighed here in the center of the circulation route, more parking. And then I thought it was also good to point out that the equipment that's on site are EV charging facility or equipment, goes towards the city master plan goal of sustainability and environmental resiliency. You can see the charging stations, the vehicles themselves are EV.
I'm getting ready to. Cause that's a spiritual thing, huh?
And you're also looking at, in this example here, number 7, a pure electric vehicle that has 0 emissions. So again, the applicant is providing good environmental stability and sustainability. In contrast, this is what you see around the subject property. Again, going towards my point that this site is as nice as any industrial site in the area. Towards Mr. Trafficante's concern about drainage, this is the front of the site. We just had a weekend of heavy rain, and you can see it's all relatively dried out. The site would be on the right. That's another neighboring industrial use on the left there. Also looking down Roanoke, when you look back towards, I'll say the west, again, the site is on the left. This is the general area where that storage bin would go. And you could see the road is dry and certainly not accepting any puddling or ponding from the subject site. Oh, and by the way, that is elevated Route 1 and 9 in the background there. So we have a major transportation corridor as a neighbor as well. And then we've got the rail lines, also transportation elements that butt the site as well. And then finally, the last view just shows the elevated 1 and 9.
That dumping is not on our site.
What's that?
That dumping is not on our site.
None of that is on our site. None of that. This is, again, what the site looks like today. Very neat, clean, orderly. This will be a nice integration into that site and a nice enhancement over an established site. In terms of the relief, you've heard that there's relief related to insufficient parking. The supply will meet the actual demand, although it doesn't meet the letter of the ordinance. Excessive illumination in the parking lot and excessive height of the wall lights all go towards the interest of safety in, again, a heavy industrialized area where there will not be significant impact. We've got excessive fence height around the perimeter where the container, the storage bin is going to go, 3-sided storage bin. And that being said, will integrate with the area and provide that element of security that is actually already there. It's mimicking the fence that's already there. And then we've got impervious coverage in the front and rear yard, which are also existing conditions which are not being worsened as a result of the application. Taking all this back to the statutory criteria, we look at reconciliation under the C2 balancing test, where the benefits of the application as a whole would substantially outweigh any detriments. On the positive side, the project is going to promote multiple purposes of zoning in the land use law at NJSA 40:55D-2, especially purpose A, the promotion of the general welfare, because the project will enhance a permitted use that operates in a neat, organized, and well-maintained fashion. This will be an enhancement to that quality facility. Additionally, the advancement of purpose G to provide for a variety of uses in appropriate locations because it delivers an industrial use in the middle of an industrial area with excellent accessibility to major roadways. Also, the advancement of purpose M, our planning goal for the efficient use of land, repurposing and retrofit an established industrial site, not expanding the development footprint per se, but working within the confines of what's there. All said, the positive criteria substantially outweigh the detriments. Based on the visuals I've just given you and the testimony of the witness before me, all relief can be granted without any substantially adverse impacts on the surrounding area, and certainly without substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of your zone plan and ordinance. With that, I would offer that the statutory criteria for relief are met here. This is a good application on a very good industrial site in the community, and not the least of which the project is going to promote recycling, which is also a fundamental goal of planning as well. So with that, I would offer the burden is met and approval is warranted.
Thank you for your testimony, insightful as always. Mr. Chairman, I have no further witnesses and I rest my case in chief.
Thanks, sir. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the public?
I see there's one comment from the board secretary. We'll mark Mr. McDonough's exhibit as applicant's A1 and provide an electronic copy to the board secretary tomorrow.
Thank you.
I apologize, Ms. Evans Pearson.
No problem. And there's no comments from the public, Chair.
In that case, I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Jordan, second by Commissioner Purdy. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Baez?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree? No.
He was muted.
I'm just gonna mark it as no vote. Commissioner Timmons? Is he still on? He exited.
He came back on. Ms. Roundtree, Councilwoman Roundtree's on now.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree, do you have a vote?
I don't know who that is, but please mute your device. You're not speaking.
Okay. I'm just gonna mark it as no vote. Commissioner James?
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher?
Yes.
Chair Richardson?
Yes. Application been approved. Good luck.
I want to put my vote in for a yes. I apologize. I had my earpiece in.
Okay.
I was at an event.
We got you. We got you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm on.
Ms. Jordan, good speaking to you tonight. Have a good night.
Good luck. Good luck, sir.
I got you.
Bye-bye.
You're muted, Chair.
Let's move to the next application, which is CPB 24-08-418-423 North 7th Street.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Normu Velosi on behalf of the applicant.
247 South 10 LLC, the application CPB 24-08. We are proposing to do a minor subdivision and construct 2 new 3 families on the dwelling. I'm looking for Mr. Fernandes, our architect. There he is. If we could have Mr. Fernandes sworn in.
Dan, you're on mute.
Sorry. Mr. Fernandez, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and affiliation for this application.
Jorge Fernandes, Fernandes, registered architect in the state of New Jersey. I business address 75 Parkhurst Street, Newark, New Jersey.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that the board accept Mr. Fernandes. He's been before the board many times.
Please continue.
Mr. Fernandes, if you could take us through the application, please.
Sure. So the premises are an existing site that is developed with a 2.5-story building. It is a 3-family home, and there's a undeveloped side yard that we're going to use to subdivide into 2 30 by 100 properties. So in other words, each property will be 3,000 square feet. They would have a shared driveway in between the 2 structures, and parking for the each of the homes would be behind in the rear yard, where you would have 3 spaces on each lot. We have here the proposed site plan, where we're showing the existing driveway curb cut that exists today. We're keeping that, and we're simply creating a new 11-foot driveway through the middle of the 2 structures to the rear of the property. There is an existing street tree on North 7th Street. We will be planting a tree on site in front of the building on the grass patch in the front yard. There is, I believe, requirement for us to plant another tree in front of the existing home. There are some very low power lines there, so we're going to work with the arborist as to which tree should go there, and we could also plant another smaller tree in the front yard of the existing home and comply with that requirement. There are some comments about the site plan that I saw from the planner. He asked us that we would only have the privacy fence in the rear yard rather than the rear and sides. So we'll comply with that requirement and eliminate the variance for the fencing. We will only have a 5-foot privacy vinyl fence to screen the parking from the rear yard of the neighbors, and we won't be from then on through the side yard to the front yard. We'll only have a 3-foot wrought iron fence on each side of the property. There are a few other variances that I just have to address. One of them, first one being insufficient side yard, where a minimum side yard setback of 3 feet is required. We have 2.6 feet. Now, that is at the existing structure, so obviously we can't change that. It is an existing non-conforming variance. Then the excessive impervious coverage, where 70% is permitted, we're proposing 97.2, and again, that is because we're trying to provide parking, 3 cars per each home in the rear of the property, and obviously we need the driveway to get there, so that is why we are requesting that variance. Insufficient facade transparency. We're proposing 20% in the front yard, in the front facade, whereas 30% is required. When I go over the front elevation, I'll give testimony as to how we're going to make it comply. Insufficient curving and wheel guards. We're going to ask for that waiver from the planning board because this is a small site and we're only parking 6 cars. Insufficient on-site trees and shade trees. I just gave testimony as to how we're going to plant 2 additional trees, one on the street or a shade tree and one on-site in front of the existing building. The prohibited fencing material, I just went over. We will only have the privacy vinyl fence in the rear of the property and not in the sides. And we will comply with the excessive illumination requirements both on the sides and rear yards of the property.
Mr. Fernandes, have you seen the surveyor's report?
I have, yes.
Okay, can you explain to the board how we're going to comply with number 5A and B?
Could you remind me what number 5 is?
The overhead wires and the fence.
Yes. The overhead wires are existing, and we're going to have to work with PSE&G to reroute them. One of them is going to the existing home on the site. There are two of them, which I believe are cable as well as power lines going through our property to the neighboring building to the south. So we're going to have to work with PSE&G to get that moved, and with also I imagine the cable company. And with regards to the encroaching fence, there's a vinyl fence that currently encroaches from the rear of the property to the south into our property, and that will be removed as we will install a new fence there on the property line.
And as to the engineer's report?
Engineering report, there are some items here that I see you're requesting testimony on the survey. So 2 survey, item 5, Roman numeral 5, the brick and concrete block garage, that it's on the southern property line coming into our property. That will remain as we're working within the existing rear yard that we have. We do not need the space for that encroachment. Then survey indicates existing vinyl fence. I believe that was the same comment as the surveyor. So I just gave testimony as to how we're going to remediate that. And then, of course, on item number 7, under survey, there's the existing steps of the existing home are going over the property line. We'll have to get a hold harmless agreement with the city, as this is an existing condition of the home, and it cannot really be changed. The only other comments I saw were pertaining to the trees, and I believe I already gave testimony to that.
George, as to the soil erosion control permit, we're seeking a waiver since our property is less than 5,000 square feet, correct?
Yes, and since we're not demolishing the existing home will remain, so we're below the 5,000 square feet.
All right, if you could take us through the plans.
Sure. We have here the floor plans on A1. Again, this is a 3-family home, 3-story with a basement. Now, the basement is accessible to all the tenants of the building, and it does not have plumbing down there. It does not have bathroom. So it's merely for the use of the tenants for storage or recreation purposes, and also for the use of the landlord to keep the electric meters and an HVAC unit. And this space is accessible from the main stairway, and it has some windows with window wells to provide ample light into the space and air. The first floor plan, we have the 3-bedroom apartment. It has its own laundry closet inside the apartment, 2 bathrooms, and ample living and dining area. The second and third floor is a bit larger. The first floor is 20 feet, and again, we did that so that we can have the 11-foot driveway through the center. The property, we were able to cantilever the second and third floor 3 feet over this driveway. So we gave them a little bit more space to the apartment. We were able to do a 3-bedroom apartment with an office, and of course laundry, 2 bathrooms, and living space in the front. The third floor is identical to the second. The smallest bedroom, I believe, is 100 square feet, 9 by 11. And then we have 140 square feet for the master bedroom. And the office is also 100 square feet. The elevations we have here, the front elevation, again, we have 20%. We're going to be able to comply with the 30% requirement if we add 2 more windows on the second and third floors. So we will add 2 windows on either side of this sliding door here. And I believe we'll be able to comply with the 30% requirement for glazing. The other side yards are all have ample window. We're complying with the 10% requirement. And I believe every space in this home really has enough light and air coming into it, even the basement. So that pretty much concludes my testimony, and I'm open to any questions.
George, do you have a rendering to show the board?
I do. So this is the rendering. We'll have the fiber cement siding, scallops in the front facade, and
I'm sorry. Can you view a little bit more, please? Can you
I'm sorry?
zoom in, please? Can you zoom in a little bit bigger, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
As you can see, we have the second and third floor cantilevered over the driveway in the center of the property.
Mr. Chair, I have no other questions.
You're on mute, Chair.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Charles Trafficante has his hand raised.
Mr. Trafficante, the floor is yours. You're still on the oath, sir.
Mr. Fernandez,
Yes.
these 2 lots are each 3,000 square feet in area, correct?
Yes.
You're also proposing improvements within the mother lot, or what's the lot with the existing house that's to remain?
In the rear. Yes.
Alright. Plus all the improvements you need to make in the public right of way. I really don't see how you can avoid going over 5,000 square feet. So Mr. Pelosi's request that item be waived, I don't think is negotiable, especially since you have to mill and resurface this road from curb to curb in front of the new lot. It's going to put you well over 5,000 square feet. So I humbly request the board reconsider the ask by the applicant's attorney to waive the requirement for soil erosion. There's no way to get around it.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Please.
we are here asking the board to allow a subdivision for 2 3,000 square feet lots. And the improvements are on only one of those 3,000 square foot lots. So obviously it's less than the 5,000.
No, I beg to differ. They show improvements on the other lot for rear parking in the backyard. Throw in the new curbs, the new sidewalks, and the repaving of the street within over 5,000 square feet. And you cannot bifurcate this. The minor subdivision, we look at both lots. You can't look at one at a time.
Yeah, this is Jorge Fernandes. If you include the pavement of the road, obviously it will go over 5,000 square feet.
Agreed, Mr. Pelosi?
With the pavement of the road, yes.
Yeah, and the improvements on the other lot, we're gonna put you well over 5,000. Like I said, you can't bifurcate this.
That's fine, Mr. Chair.
All right. Is there any other items in the engineering report, Mr. Fernandez, you cannot comply with?
No, there are no.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Council. Commissioners, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, are there any questions or comments from the public?
Seeing none, Chair.
In that case, I need a motion.
Remember, Jordan, I see you talking, but you're on mute.
I make motion, Chairman, with the condition.
Second motion, second the motion.
Moved by Commissioner Baez, second by Commissioner Roundtree. With those conditions as stated from the engineer, Mr. Trafficante. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan? Give a thumbs up. Commissioner Purdy?
Yes. There's 62 lines.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Purdy, you said yes, I'm sorry. Commissioner Baez?
Yes, yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher? No. Chair Richardson?
Yes. The application has been approved. Good luck.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good talk. Let's move to CPB 23-79, which is 201 Wright Street, and this is Mr. Sauer.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. South.
My team should be, Anthony Guzzo should be on. And Dante Wright should be on.
Mr. Sauter, before we begin, have you had an opportunity to review the comment letters from water, sewer, planning, and zoning?
I do not have letters from all of those folks. I do have a planner's report.
Mr. Chairman, I was hoping to avoid some of the consternation that we experienced in the last couple of applications, and I apologize for that having happened. I want to make certain that council's able to suggest or they've had an opportunity to look at. So for this application to proceed forward, what are you missing, council?
I don't think I'm missing anything. It's an existing building. So there is no engineering. There are no additional water, sewer hookups or anything of that nature. So I don't believe I'm missing anything.
Okay, perfect. Then
I'm sure Mr. Trafficante will tell me if I am, or AJ.
Count on it.
Well, we just wanted to clear that up in advance.
No, that's perfectly fine, Dan. I appreciate that. As the consummate professional you are, and understanding and appreciating how quickly this board is moving. You know, I say let's get this show on the road. We don't have to worry about those folks. They wasn't worried about us. We're not worried about them.
Relax.
Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So I appear before you tonight on behalf of Key Trade Design LLC, a minority-owned retail cannabis micro business. We have noticed, as we are required, and to state simply, I think this is a very simple application. We are taking a formal industrial space and turning it into a micro cannabis retail location. In full disclosure, the intent of this particular application in this retail location is to be more of a delivery service However, understanding some of the concerns that we've seen on other applications, we have gone out of our way to make sure that we can address certain items to the satisfaction, hopefully, to the satisfaction of this board. With that being said, I would like to call Anthony Guzzo, who is the architect of record on this application, to testify.
You shall, Mr. Guzzo, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and affiliation to this application.
Sure. Anthony Guzzo, I'm the principal of Guzzo Architects, 608 Ridge Road, Lyndhurst, New Jersey.
Thank you. Counsel?
Thank you, Anthony. Your license is currently active in the state of New Jersey, and there are no issues.
Yes, it is. It's in good standing.
Thank you. Can you give us a bit of your background, please?
Sure. I have a 5-year bachelor's degree of architecture from New Jersey Institute of Technology. I've been practicing architecture in the state for over 20 years. I'm a member of the AIA, American Institute of Architects. I also hold my license in numerous other states. Have testified before many boards throughout New Jersey. I'm not sure if I testified here at this board, but many other cities and counties throughout the state.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I ask that you qualify him. You are muted, Mr. Chairman.
You're accepted by the board. Please continue.
Thank you, Anthony. Could you put up the layout of this particular location and just walk the board through it with an emphasis on the security plan to the extent that we at least feel comfortable putting it out there. And I would also appreciate if you can discuss the lighting in the back of the building that the city's planner has addressed in their plans or their report.
Yes. I'll just give you a quick overview and I'll walk you through our plan. The site is a 25 by 100 deep site that fronts along Wright Street. The building is a 2-story masonry building that's kind of set back about 30 feet off of Wright Street. Again, we're looking to renovate that existing first floor and do some facade renovations to that Wright Street or that north side elevation. As what we're looking to do here, and some of our other documents show as I'll kind of progress through, is we're looking to put a new storefront here, paint the existing brick, open up some former windows that were blocked up on the second floor, and actually convert this first floor into the micro cannabis space that we're proposing here tonight. As part of that entry, we're going to have the entry storefront that we're going to install on the front elevation, which is a secure area that is monitored in that checkout area by a security guard. So they would be accessing customers as they come to the site, would come into the checkout area and get reviewed by the security, checkout, and then it buzzed into the retail area. So there's a small waiting area that serves as kind of a security lock in the front. And then we enter into the retail area, which also another security officer would be there to monitor that space. So in the retail area, you'll see that's kind of an interior retail view as we have on our drawing up above on the same sheet. And then is kind of a small handicapped bathroom is located in that space. And the remainder of that back space is occupied by a transfer room where it would be employees only, and a secure vault that's going to be constructed in that back rear corner. As far as the product goes, from the transfer room out to the sales area, we're talking about secure pass-through boxes. So there's no sliding windows or anything like that. So any product is kind of put into the backside of that and then opened on the front. So the backside is secure. All of these doors, as far as access goes, are secure doors. Either have a buzzer or in some cases are a little bit thicker and more secure, such as the vault. That would have some 3-point secure system to it, a little bit thicker makeup of the door, about 2 inches. And those walls surrounding that area is a double mesh metal grid that we're going to install within the layers of the sheetrock there to provide a secure area. We are proposing a stair that goes up to the second floor. We're not looking to occupy that space. Currently, it's vacant, but there was kind of a conveyor or smaller stair that went up there, and we just thought this was the right time to install at least a proper stair that leads up there in case in the future they come back and they want to try to utilize that space. As you'll see in the elevation, it's an existing brick facade. Some of the lower sections, I'm actually going to just move down to our drawing P2, which gives you just some existing exterior views and proposed perspective that we generated. You'll see that it's an existing 2-story brick building. The windows up above were closed off at some point. The lower sections were kind of changed and an overhead door was installed. So we're kind of looking to bring back a little bit of that character of that existing building by adding some storefronts there, dressing up that brick. We're going to clean and paint that existing brick. We're going to be installing new windows as a new window treatment up in the upper section, so we're not going to have blanked out areas. So we think from an aesthetic standpoint, we're really looking to enhance what we have, over what it currently is. I'm just going to go back just so I can kind of show you a little detail. We are proposing some signage here. We feel it's minimal. It's not going to be illuminated. It's a white background with black letters that's mounted on the side of the building, approximately 18 square feet. So we think that with some of the added signage and the storefront and the windows that we're adding up above, just the experience of that facade is a big upgrade to what's going on there. There is a rear exit door, and then some of the comments, some of the lighting got brought up, and I know that was brought up on the front and the back. But we would be complying with any type of lighting requirements that was in the planner's report. In the front, some of the illumination spillage onto the other properties is a little higher than what we would like and what's required. So we're going to be reviewing that and changing that fixture out front. We are providing illumination to make sure that it's secure because we do have security cameras throughout. The front, the check-in area, retail, and also the transfer room. So all rooms are monitored here with security cameras and alarms. There was a comment in the planner's report about backup. They will have a battery backup, and by law, they will be required to maintain that 24-hour backup power if needed in case the power ever goes out. So there was some minor comments that I believe were picked up in the planning report, and we have really no issue with complying with some of those comments that were brought up. It was mainly the lighting and the security management plan about battery backup power. So just, again, just to give you kind of an overview here, you'll see that just from a survey standpoint, we indicated the survey here, which is Wright Street is at the top here in this plan. There is the 30-foot setback, small access alleyway along the rear, which is the existing door. And if we will verify and provide any type of secure lighting as required for an exit door out the rear. But again, only really one exit is required based on the building code here, based on the building depth and the occupancy.
Thank you. Can you give me tell me what the planned hours of operations is as well?
Yes. We are proposing hours of operation Monday through Thursday, 9 to 8 p.m., Friday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
And can you also, in putting this plan together, did you give any consideration to parking?
We were really relying on the on-street parking for the site.
Is there some place in case there is a need for parking that you have an agreement with?
Yes, I believe we spoke with the owners. There's some off-site parking that is available nearby and in a parking lot. So that would be kind of the overflow parking if required.
What does it sound about right that that's the diner on the corner?
Yes.
So within a few hundred feet of the site, there's additional parking if needed.
Yes, I think it's about 300 feet away. Correct.
Right, and that's off-street parking.
Yes.
Okay. Have you done anything in terms of considering if there's any overflow on the lot? If there's a large amount of people trying to get in?
We don't anticipate that. I mean, based on all of our discussions, there's going to be a lot of pickup here, so it'll be very limited. But we did have some conversations that if it is a busy area, there will be somebody outside maintaining traffic and access through the front of the property.
Okay. With that being said, Chairman, I'll turn it over to you all for questions.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Anthony, I think you can stop sharing.
Okay, hearing none.
Mr. Chairman, I just jump in with one
Mr.
quick.
Barrett.
Thank you.
Let's get him sworn in, Mr. Barrett.
Excuse me, Mr. Barrett, you solemnly swear testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and affiliation.
Sure. John Barry, consulting planner, board, licensed planner. Mr. Sauter or Mr. Guzzo, could you just confirm that you're able to comply with the requested plan revisions outlined in the planning report suggesting conditions of approval?
I can confirm that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
John, I almost got through with no questions today. Almost.
Almost. You might not be done yet. You might not.
Touche.
Commissioners, any questions or comments? Hearing none. Are there any questions or comments from the public?
There was I guess a comment from an anonymous attendee. I don't know if I should read it for the record.
We need to have them sworn in to
Okay.
participate.
If they don't want to raise their hand, then we have no question.
I don't think it's a good idea if it's anonymous.
Okay. Oh, we have one. I'm sorry. 1 second. May you please come off mute and turn your camera on?
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Could you please state your name and address and your affiliation for this application?
Yes, hi. Swearing in. Yeah, my name is Tasso Apostolopoulos. My affiliation, my address is 199 Wright Street. I'm right next door to the building. Just was asking about the parking and how that's going to work. Only because I know the street. The street is very busy in the daytime. I understand that there are some parking spaces in front of the building, but you know, this is a retail establishment, and I was just curious as to, you know, how many people will be visiting this retail store. Typically in the past, you see people parking on the sidewalks along the building that's across the street. So just was wondering about the parking and how that's going to be addressed.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just note, as I stated at the top of our presentation that the intent of this location is for it to be largely a delivery service location. As noted by Mr. Tasso, there are a few parking spaces in front, but as we've also had our architect testify to, for overflow parking, there is a diner on the corner that has a parking lot that has permitted us to utilize that parking lot in the event that we have a need to do so. In that event, there has also been testimony that we will have an outside security guard that, if necessary, will be directing traffic when need be.
When you say the owner of the diner, do you mean the Hotspot Diner?
I believe that's, I guess it's on the corner. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't have the name off the top of my head. I do apologize.
Yeah. No, there is a diner at the corner. I don't see how people are going to be parking there. That parking lot is always jam packed, and I personally know the owner. I don't quite see how he would allow people to park there unless you're referring to the building that he owns next door to the proposed building, and maybe that's the one that he said he would allow some parking for.
Well, we know he has additional parking. He has agreed to allow us to utilize his additional parking for overflow. You know, I'm not necessarily sure what else you want us to tell you in reference
And that's, is that in writing or it's just?
He has agreed to allow us to use it.
Mm-hmm. He's agreed. And how do we confirm that?
I mean, I was just gonna put it to you like, I'm a lawyer and I have ethical obligations about things that I put on the record.
Okay.
We've had testimony to this fact. I don't think we're obligated to do anything else. What I would say to you though, because we want to be good neighbors, right? There's no intent to be anything but a good neighbor. We have looked for solutions to the parking issue. And if it's a ongoing problem, I'm sure we will be able to work together as neighbors to figure out a solution that would be in the best interest of everyone involved to the best we can, realizing the area is what it is.
Yeah, like I have no problem with the business next door. It's I'm actually happy to see that somebody's moving in and they're gonna fix the property. Just want to make sure that I don't have problems with people parking in my parking spaces like I do from time to time. That's just my only concern.
Thank you so much. Thank you for putting it on the record.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Secretary, is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak? Madam Secretary?
You're on mute, Carissa.
She must be having a problem.
You're on mute.
Carissa, you're on mute.
She can't unmute. Is there anyone else wishing to speak at this time? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
There are no hands raised, Chair.
Okay, in that case, I need a motion.
Motion to approve it.
Moved by Commissioner Baez. Is there a second?
Second, Chair.
Second by Commissioner James. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy,
Yes.
Commissioner Baez,
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree. Number 8, no vote. Commissioner Timmons is gone. Commissioner James,
Yes.
Co-Chair Witcher,
Present, not voting.
Chair Richardson.
Yes, the application's been approved. Good luck.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Hi, Mr. South. Good luck.
Thank you.
So, I have to leave. Co-Chair Witcher is going to take over for the remainder of the meeting. Have a good night, everyone. Stay safe.
You too.
Good night, Chair.
Good night.
Good night, Chair.
Good night, Mr. Chair.
Good night.
All
Take
right.
care.
It's Tuesday. It's Monday. Don't party too much tonight.
Oh, no, we're partying for 30 days. All right. See, the next application is CPB 2390, 157 to 169, and 171 Foundry Street.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, members of the board. My name is Kelly Carey. I'm from Passion Stein for the applicant Canopy Farms. This is a site plan application for a 67,467 square foot cultivation and manufacturing facility at 157 and 171 Foundry Street. It's in the I3 industrial zone. We were in front of the board back in July of 2022 for the conditional use approval for this facility, and that approval stands. So tonight we're just here coming back as required for the site plan. We did present a concept plan at that prior hearing. The plans have evolved since that original concept, so the board understands. The one main change is that we discovered that renovating the existing structures, as was the initial plan, really was not practical. So what we are presenting this evening is a brand new 100% new, attractive, modern facility. And we do have several witnesses that are going to go through that. The existing site, is currently almost completely impervious, and it's unusually shaped. It's essentially a flag lot. So we're going to reduce the impervious. We're going to add significant landscaping, the new state-of-the-art building, but we do need some variances, and we will go through those. I'm going to have Brian Leibskin, our engineer, going to have Paul Syed, who's next to me, who's the owner-manager, talk. We're going to have Matt George, the architect, and Lee Klein, our traffic engineer, and Sam Bellamy, our planner, pretty much in that order. So if we can make sure that Brian's in and bring him up.
Yes, you solemnly swear the testimony about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation to this application.
Sure. My name is Brian Liebeskin, Liebeskin. I am a project manager with Professor Robin. I have a bachelor's of engineering degree in civil engineering from Students Institute of Technology, and currently practice as a professional engineer.
Have you appeared before this board or other boards in the state of New Jersey?
I have not appeared before this board before, but I appeared before dozens of other boards throughout the state.
Thank you. I'll leave it up to the chairperson. Thank you. I apologize, Madam Chair.
No, Mr. Liebeskin, is your license current and in good standing?
It is.
All right. You're accepted by the board. You can proceed.
Thank you.
Good evening, Brian. Yeah, if you would, just procedurally, we received the Newark Engineers Review letter dated March 5th, and an amendment to that dated March 8th. We also received a planning memo dated March 3rd. Maybe just to start off, for the most part, we have no issue with those reports. As far as the planner's report, we're going to maybe make some clarifications to planning item number 4. And as far as the engineering report, some clarifications to item 5, Roman numeral 5. Right?
Correct.
Okay. So if you could then just, briefly orient us to the location, give us the existing conditions really briefly, given the hour already, and then, explain what we're planning to do and outline the lots perhaps so they understand what the property is.
Sure. So on the screen here is an aerial exhibit of the existing site. As mentioned, the project is consists of 2 lots. A flag shape totaling 1.19 acres in the I3 heavy industrial zone. Project is on the west side of Foundry Street between Roanoke Ave and Avenue P. The only site access is a paved driveway shared with the adjacent lot, lot 22.01, which leads to the back portion of the site. There's an existing 2-story building, an existing 4-story building, and a metal carport, all of which would be demolished as part of the proposed project. If I can switch to a colored rendering of our proposed site.
Brian, I'm going to hold you for a second. These are new plans that weren't previously submitted or marked, right?
Correct.
All right, so Mr. Beck, shall we mark each page individually, or is this a set that we can mark as Exhibit A1?
Yes, we may. Go right ahead.
Okay, and we'll submit these to the board secretary tomorrow morning.
The proposed project is for a 3-story indoor cannabis cultivation facility, which will be located on the northern side of that flag piece. It is about 67,000 square feet between the 3 floors. We are proposing a surface parking lot with 29 spaces and a reconstruction of the existing paved driveway off of Foundry Street. Those improvements would include a full depth replacement of the pavement, a full height curb, new landscape buffer along that southern edge with new street trees, LED light fixtures, and new underground utilities. The parking lot itself, of the 29 spaces, 2 are for ADA purposes, 2 for electric vehicles. The employee entrance to the proposed building is located at the southwest corner. There's a roll-up door just east of that for deliveries to and from the proposed facility. These would be handled via a SU-30 box truck. We have a circulation plan as part of our civil set, which shows movements off of Foundry Street and into the site, accessing that loading bay. Other site improvements, as you can see from the rendering, include perimeter landscaping on all sides of the building. We have a total of 8 light fixtures, which will serve the parking lot and the driveway itself, as well as building mounted LED fixtures along the perimeter of the proposed building. The street trees that are provided are in compliance with the city's minimum standards for a parking lot, and the front yard requirements. Our professional planner will go through the de minimis waivers we are seeking for that. The majority of those related to the irregular shape of the existing lot. Switching to the grading and drainage plan. This is C401 from the civil set.
Brian, I know that we had received the engineering review letter. Is there anything that we're not able to comply with as far as the grading and the drainage? Was there? I don't know that there was specific testimony requested.
No, we will. I had the opportunity to meet with several members of the engineering department last Monday and go through their latest comments, and we will, pending a favorable outcome tonight, we will work with their staff to provide us the design.
Okay, so unless there's any specific questions, I think you can continue.
So in terms of grading and drainage for the project, the existing site topography is quite flat. There's only about 2 feet of grade change across the existing paved lot. So the project will be lifting up the back portion of the site to set the building elevation 10 with a driveway that slopes down towards Foundry Street, creating a new low spot for drainage, as well as a collection system for the parking lot itself. We will, work with the city to address the ordinance requirements for stormwater, as well as a DP application for flood hazard permit, as this project is located within the 100-year flood zone. The utilities for the project all will be pulled off of Foundry Street. We have a concrete pad located near the southeast corner of the building for electrical equipment. This is will be coordinated with PSC&G for those pad mounted equipment. The other utilities again will be underground and pulled into the southern side of the building. The permits outlined in the engineering review memo will all be fulfilled as part of the next phases of the project. And again, unless there are additional requests from city engineering, we will address the comments in their latest memo. So, was there any other questions? That concludes my testimony.
Brian, can we just clarify a couple things from the letters? There was a question of whether or not the landscaping in the parking area, the parking islands complies, and that does comply, correct? We'll provide that calculation.
Yes, the latest landscape plan has a table which demonstrates compliance.
Okay, and there was also a question about the wheel stops. We provided those now, correct?
Correct, those are provided on the latest plans.
Okay. One of the variances we need is for the lighting. There is a discrepancy or an incongruity between the industrial lighting and the cannabis lighting requirements. We do meet the cannabis lighting requirements, which means we're slightly over on the industrial lighting standards. I don't believe that was an issue. It was more of a comment. I think that just noting that's the case, but it is technically a variance as well, right?
Correct. Yes, we've designed the site lighting to comply with the minimum requirements from the conditional use approval.
And then the other question that was perhaps in the planning report, but probably more of an engineering or traffic even question. There was a question about the parking and loading and circulation. You touched on it a little bit, but there was a question about the ADA spaces and the truck movements. Should we wait for the traffic engineer to go through that, or do you want to?
So I can touch on it briefly. So the comment was referring to the fact that while deliveries would be made, it would restrict access to that the parking spaces in that corner of the lot. And from discussions with the project team and owner, the site operations would be such that these deliveries would occur at non-peak times. It would be infrequent in nature, and the idea is that in no way would impede the ability for employees coming for their shift.
And the second overhead door that's shown there, that's not intended for loading purposes, correct?
Correct. So flipping back to the rendering, which shows the architectural underlay. This room for different fertigation equipment also has a roll-up door, but that is really for means of bringing equipment in and out in the event they ever need to be replaced. That is not serving as a loading bay on a regular basis.
Okay. And just to put all the information in, the other variances we need are for minimum lot width, because basically the frontage of the property is that the entranceway, so we're not meeting the minimum lot width there, correct?
Correct.
And then for front yard impervious coverage, the existing was 100%, and we're proposing 73%, whereas 55 is what's required, but we're improving the situation, correct?
Correct.
And then the last variance is for front orientation, and I guess the architect will go through this in more detail, but that's the other front orientation, as you showed. The front door is on the side, which faces the parking lot, even though the front of the building technically is what faces Foundry Street, correct?
Correct. The vast majority of those are related to the regular shape of the lot.
Okay. And then the other question was about utility easements. You noted the utilities are going to come in the front. Right now, there is no existing utility easement. We're going to create a utility easement to bring all the utilities in through that front entranceway, correct?
Yes.
And that right now there is a cross access easement between the two lots that are part of our property and the other lot that's in the front there, sort of to the top right of the screen right now. So we're going to revise that cross access easement to be the same width as this new driveway. Right now it's smaller than that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And there was a question regarding there's a shed on the property currently that was from a prior tenant, prior owner, not being used, not part of our project, and it seems to encroach onto the Conrail property. So we did not find any easements for it. We don't need it. The applicant is proposing to remove that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and for the record, I have made initial contact with Conrail. They do have a provision for getting site access in order to have that removed. So we will do that. So this witness is open to questions to the board, and if there's anything else you want us to discuss, please let us know.
Commissioners, do any of you have any questions for this testimony?
Charles Trafficante has his hand up.
Mr. Trafficante, you're already under oath. You can proceed with your questions.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Brian, one quick question. I may have missed it. In the engineering report to the board dated March 5th, item number 5, room number 5. Applicant shall provide testimony to the board as to why the proposed electric and telephone service utility lines were ran overhead. A new utility poles for proposed 3-story cannabis farm and manufacturing building instead of being installed underground as is required for all new construction. Should no justifiable reason be given, the utility plan shall be revised to show the locations, conduit material, and conduit sizes for both the underground electric and underground telephone service utility lines. Can you address that?
Actually, Mr. Trafficante, if I can jump in, thank you for reminding me to address that. Brian did testify that we're going to bring all the utilities for this property, including the overhead electric, to be underground. The clarification I wanted to make there is that there is an overhead power line from the street that comes into the cross-access easement that goes to the neighboring property. So we're not proposing to put the neighboring properties electric line underground. I just want to make sure that's clear for the record. We will make all the utilities for this project underground.
All include electric and telephone?
Yes.
All right, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Trafficante. Commissioners, can I have the screen back? Commissioners, are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, who's your next witness? Ms. Kara?
Thank you. Yes, I have next to me, I have the owner manager of the property, Paul Saya. Raise your hand, we'll get you sworn in.
Good evening. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation to this application.
Paul Side, I'm the owner of Canopy Farms and Cultural Realty. The applicant.
Thank you. Counsel, please qualify your witness.
He's testifying as the owner as to operations. He's not an expert.
Which is exactly what I wanted to hear. That's fine. You may proceed with consent of the chairperson.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Saya, can you just, as we said, you were in front of the board previously for the conditional use. This is a site plan, but can you just confirm for the record, and the planner will ask, the testimony that we gave during the conditional use hearing, those conditional use standards are still going to be supported. We'll continue to comply with everything we testified to as to those at the last hearing, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
There are some questions in the memos regarding the trash as far as for cannabis and for regular trash and recycling. So if you can just, the engineer is going to go through, I think, some with the pictures, but if we can just kind of confirm through operations testimony from you that most of the cannabis trash will be stored indoors, correct?
That's correct. All the plant matter will be stored inside, and we're going to have frequent disposal with a carrier who's accustomed to disposing of plant matter. And we're also going to store regular trash inside the building, but we're also going to carve out some space by the transformer for additional trash storage of recycling or general trash.
Okay, and that'll be a private hauler, and you'll schedule those pickups as often as are necessary. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we'll let the architect give more detail, but I wanted to put the operations in. There's a question regarding the hours and the days of the week. We have decided 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you're planning on having sort of staggered shifts, not necessarily everybody there at the same time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
There was a goal in the prior testimony, a goal of hiring 50% local. Is that still correct?
That's correct.
And if we can talk about, so the site plan provides for 29 spaces, 14 are all that are required. We have more parking than required by the statute, but it's your opinion that the business requires those extra spaces. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in addition to that, you're going to have a shuttle that can help pick up employees from the bus stop and from the train station. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the shuttle is going to be, what type of shuttle vehicle is it?
Like a church style van, something that could fit in a regular parking space.
Okay. And that'll be kept on the property then?
That's correct.
And probably managed by you, or would we anticipate hiring an outside company?
Probably managed by us.
And can you confirm the testimony from the engineer that your deliveries are going to be in vans or small 30-foot trucks, nothing larger than that, correct?
That's correct.
And just for the record, the status of your cannabis application right now, you have conditional approval for both manufacturing and cultivation in the state?
Not, I have the annual approval.
Annual approvals, even better.
Fully
All right.
approved.
Fully approved. Okay, thank you. Witness is open for questions from the board.
Commissioner Jordan.
Good evening. During construction, what employees are you hiring, and how are you hiring them?
Do you need anybody from the facility during construction? Are you starting to do planning with it?
No, I mean, we're still some time out before we're hiring anybody for the operational aspect of it. I mean, it's a ground up construction, so we're not going to be thinking about anything about operational hiring until maybe like a year and a half out from now.
When do you plan on starting construction, if approved by the board?
You know, we have to create the design documents, get the building permits. I mean, we're hoping that we can start probably by June or July.
June or July of this year?
That's correct.
So during construction, what type of hiring for construction, not during operation construction?
I mean,
do you have a developer, construction company that you've
Yeah, I
decided
mean-
to use yet, or you're still?
yeah, I mean, I've been in discussions with a company called Palmer Construction. They specialize in cultivation and manufacturing cannabis facilities, like in the New Jersey, PA, New York area. So basically, I was going to have them bid it out to local contractors in accordance with any agreements that I've made with the city council.
Do you plan on having a job fair? This is my last question.
Oh, yes, that was one of the requirements by the city council, was to work with the workforce development to hire all the employees for the facility.
So you're going to continue to comply with the commitments you made at city council with regard to your local license, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioners, are there any other questions? All right, I have a question. Can you sort of outline what commitments were made with the city council at this time? Would that be appropriate?
Sure. One of them is that we're going to work with the workforce development to hire the employees in the facility. The other one is that we're going to donate 2% of the net profits to local nonprofits in Newark. And the third one is that we were going to include unionized labor during the construction of the facility.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right, so at this time, I don't see any other questions from commissioners. Ms. Carey, who's your next professional?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I'm going to bring Matthew George, our architect. Let's see. Matt, are you in there?
Is he under the Galaxy A53?
He said he was in and I got bumped.
Okay, yeah. That's...
Are we finding him?
Yes, he rejoined.
Might be the Galaxy.
Yeah, he might be on a phone.
He's there. He just has to come off mute and turn his camera.
There we go.
Good evening. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Where would you like to start?
Yes, we'll get you sworn in first. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give shall be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation to this application.
My name is Matthew McGeorge. I'm the architect of record. I'm currently licensed in 8 states. I've been working in Canvas for 10 years. I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Tasmania and a master's degree from the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago. And in the last 10 years, we have worked on probably about 2 million square feet of cannabis cultivation, manufacturing, and dispensary sites.
Counsel, does he have any testimony or background with New Jersey or tri-state?
I do not. This is my first testimony in New Jersey specifically.
And that's fine. I just wanted to put some of the stuff on the record. Madam Chair, I didn't mean to step on your toes.
My toes are fine. You can proceed with your testimony, sir.
Sure. So, like I said, I've done multiple cannabis projects across the country for the past 10 years. I like to think on the architectural side, this is pretty self-explanatory. Most of the items here are site and civil related. I understand there's a couple of issues that we're looking for relief on, one of which is the transparency issue. Obviously, with cannabis facilities, the photo cycle is the most important part. So natural light in a non-greenhouse application is detrimental to the cultivation operations. So what we've tried to do here is give some sense of architecture, some sort of interest to a building, provide spans or glass to give some reflectivity and interest to the elevations.
Matt, can I interrupt you for a second? Can you share your screen or do you want me to? I'd like to show them.
If you can share it, I'd appreciate it. I'm on my phone, my computer, my laptop wouldn't log on to the meeting. So if you could just start it, page one, I can kind of quickly gloss over some of the stuff.
Okay, tell me which page you want to be on.
Let's start off at the top. So if you have the combined PDF, it would be the ground floor plan. Yeah, so effectively, the ground floor plan consists of fertigation, office space, the utility yard that we talked about earlier, and how we would try to integrate the secure waste removal. Most of the manufacturing spaces and packaging spaces would occur on this level so that shipping and receiving would be more effective. There are only 6 points of entry for floodwater infiltration. So the intent is to, design obviously the facility to conform to all the flood mitigation control plans. We can bring the perimeter foundation wall up to above the freeboard elevation to ensure that all conformance with those requirements are complied with. And then if you scroll to the next sheet.
Just as we go to this, these are the architectural drawings that we submitted on Friday to the board. So you do have those, but we do need to mark them. So they are new, they're updated. So A2, does that make sense, Mr. Becht? Okay, go ahead, Matt. These would be A2, the packet.
Okay, so the second floor is effectively a typical cultivation floor. There's a combination of vegetation and flower rooms. All of these rooms will be effectively self-enclosed. Again, to really speak to the lighting, what we're trying to do is capture light in the stairways, give the glazing impression, and then on the left-hand side of this exhibit would be the sort of most visible side, I suppose. So the spandrel glass is incorporated into the design. And then the next exhibit, which is the third floor plan, is additional staff space, bathrooms, more cultivation. Again, it's limited access to open daylight. So as you scroll down to the next exhibit, that is the elevation at the top of the sheet would be the elevation facing the parking lot side. So the staff entry is kind of left center. We're providing openings and daylight to the staff areas, trying to provide some visual interest. One of the staircases will go to the roof for penthouse access and serviceability. There's a cogeneration plant proposed for this facility, which will be located on the roof. So the top of the structure itself is on the left-hand side. You can see there, at 57 feet, putting a parapet on, and then the cogeneration penthouse will, top out that height a little bit. The bottom elevation, which is the northwest exterior elevation, is effectively a rear wall. Again, we've tried to just give it a little bit of architectural interest, some depth. If you scroll to the next exhibit, the southwest exterior elevation. So what you see here is sort of a large curtain wall glass assembly, and the clear glass would be the stair tower effectively, and the office spaces on the lower level. And the remainder would be spandrel glass, and we're open to input from the board and the commission on whether that should be downlit, backlit, like what the intent of the regulations are that you'd like to see there. But we're trying to design something that is at least not sterile and not appealing to passersby. The lowest elevation, again, trying to get clear glass and open light to the stair towers, give some, spandrel glass and interest to technically the street front elevation, is what we're trying to do here. Then the next exhibit, if you will, is the 3D renderings. Some of the color and texture is based on the way sunlight hits the panels, but it is an accurate representation of the design intent of the two-dimensional drawings, and it is commensurate with the dimensions of the building. I think there was a comment about overhead doors.
Correct.
If you'd like to scroll back up to sheet A 5.1, elevation 1, that's the bump out of the ground floor where the shipping and receiving is. So we can easily accommodate any requirement of the municipality to go to a 14-foot overhead door if that's required.
Okay. And just for the record, we do need the variance for the glazing. So the requirement, the ordinance is 25% of the front of the building. We're providing glazing on 3 of the sides, not just the front, but we're not technically meeting that 25% on the front, correct?
Correct.
So we need if you call the street elevation, the northeast side, it's about 22.8%. Transparent if you include the white, the spandrel glass, correct?
Correct.
And then the last question, there was an area provided where we could put some outdoor trash outside if needed.
Yes. So if you'd like to go, yeah, I see you're on that exhibit. So during the programming, utility sizing, generator, there's a few technical conversations about infrastructure that's required for that space. As Paul mentioned earlier, we're still working on developing the technical design for that. So for now, that switchgear generator yard will be relatively full of building support infrastructure, but we're confident we can provide secure waste removal for both cannabis and non-cannabis related material. I know Paul testified that no cannabis.
Matt, I think the plan is cannabis will be kept indoors.
Correct.
This is for the trash recycling, regular trash.
Correct. The quarantine waste room has all of the biomass waste bins.
And then the last question is as to signage. Now, as we know, the cannabis sign ordinance is very restrictive. It permits a 20 square foot black and white sign. So am I correct that the decision here has been we're not even going to do a sign?
Correct. That's my understanding is that we're waiving signage from the current application.
So in accordance with the ordinance requirements for design, we are going to just provide probably metal numbers to identify the building from the street. So address label.
Correct.
And that concludes, I believe, what we were asked to cover on the architectural. If there's any questions from the board, the witness is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Carey. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Jordan.
Yes, to the architect, I'm pretty sure you visited the site, but I just want confirmation that you have visited the site, and how often do you feel you would need to be present?
I have not yet personally visited the site. My engineering partner of record from EC4B, who is not on this call, has visited the site and met with the client. Once we develop the construction drawings, I would ensure that I would visit the site before we submit for building permit, and then we would figure out an appropriate strategy for physical site meetings. I do have several projects in New Jersey, so we also have a structural engineer from New York that will be visiting the site to verify installations of foundation, structural steel, etc. So I will be available on site as appropriate and commensurate with typical construction projects of this nature.
I appreciate that answer. I really like the rendering, and I'm looking forward to seeing this should your plan go through.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. Commissioner James.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I too, really love the rendering, very unique. My question pertains to how do you prevent some of the cannabis plants and materials from emitting odor, out in the surrounding areas and so forth. I know
there's been some issues at other cultivation sites around New Jersey and across the country. So just wanted to know what specifically, you guys are doing in terms of materials to prevent that.
So I'll speak to that insofar as I have been an owner operator of a business that permitted in Massachusetts, as well as presenting testimony to many municipalities on this issue. Primarily, it's an inline carbon filtration, negative pressurization, and other technologies. So the engineer of record, EC4B again, they've been an industry partner of ours for many, many years. So
I'm sorry, Chairman, with all my respect, I don't mean to cut the conversation, but I have to have an hemorrhoid right now, and I'll be back. It's sometimes.
Thank you, Commissioner Bias.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Well, I didn't quite catch that, but odor mitigation control plans are very robust and significant. Unless there's something codified, and I'll defer to the legal counsel here, we generally use industry tried and tested methodologies. Some municipalities have not codified those, so sometimes it's not. I don't want to speak out of turn, so
Yeah,
perhaps I should.
Matt, thank you for, trying to jump in there. We did, when this went through the conditional use application, we did put in plans. Again, hasn't been built yet, hadn't been fully designed, but we did put in documentation as to how that will be addressed. And we recognize that there are, places where these things have opened and there have been issues. In our experience, it's been when they weren't fully designed and they didn't have all their equipment ready to handle it, and they opened too early. And everybody's learned that lesson. As long as the equipment that's required and the filters that are required are in place, there really should not be an issue with odor.
Okay, so essentially you're just saying it's just more of a filtration system that is attributed to preventing the odors from expelling, or?
Yes, there's redundant filtration systems, and as they said, positive pressure to try to keep the smells inside and not going out. And a couple years ago, when this was all brand new to New Jersey, there were a couple incidents with some issues. But there's been enough of these built all over the country, and at this point, even in New Jersey, and the experts do know how to build them correctly, and we are going to hire the correct people to make sure it's done correctly.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for the clarity.
All right. Any other commissioners have a question? For this, well, I have one question. Can you explain? You said cogeneration. What's being cogenerated with who?
EC4B again, the engineer. It's a self-contained rooftop unit that will help offset some of the power demands. Paul, I don't know if you can speak to that in more detail. I'd prefer not to testify to it since I'm not the engineer of record.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you. Wait until you it's your turn. All right.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of cultivation facilities use conventional DX HVAC units. They consume more electricity. They probably break down more than this system. This system is a cogen CHP plant, which is basically like a chiller plant. I'm not an engineer either, but it's basically a much more stable.
If I might interrupt just for a second, counsel, your witness is testifying as an engineer. Is there anybody that has the expertise to quantify the testimony they're giving the board?
He can explain as the owner what he's been explaining, what he understands as to the project, why they're going to implement it, but he's not an engineer. I do not believe we have that engineer here today.
All right. And the gentleman that just testified prior, he was an
architect.
I'm sorry?
He was an architect, so he's not, right.
And can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, he's an architect. He's not the engineer. The engineers from his firm are not, who would be dealing with this, are not on the call.
Let me step in. I'll table that until we hear from the engineer.
So as the architect, I will say, just think of it like any mechanical penthouse that you would see on any large industrial building. The details of the machinations are fundamental engineering, and that's been included in our exhibits.
Thank you, Mr. McGeorge. All right. So, Ms. Carey, who is your next expert?
Next expert is Lee Klein, traffic.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Klein.
Good evening, Madam Chair. If I might swear the witness in, do you solemnly swear the testimony about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation to this application.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lee. Middle initial D is in Daniel. Klein, K-L-E-I-N. I'm the traffic engineer for the application. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. My license is current and in good standing. I'm also a nationally certified professional traffic operations engineer, and I believe I've been before this board on at least a few occasions in the past.
Is your license current and in good standing?
Did I miss something?
Yes.
You may proceed.
Thank you.
Just preliminary, Mr. Klein, you did submit a traffic report dated September 27th, 23 to the board, correct?
Yes, I did. So I prepared a traffic engineering and parking evaluation report dated September 27th, 2023. And in that report, I calculated the trip generation of the proposed 67,467 square foot marijuana cultivation and processing facility. The Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation 11th edition has the land use code 190, marijuana cultivation and processing facility. So I was able to calculate the trip generation for that facility. And in my report, table 1 summarizes those trip generation numbers. We've got 47 peak hour trips during the AM peak hour and 43 trips during the PM peak hour. I also compared it to the current or the prior uses on the site, approximately 72,400 square feet of general light industrial use, which would generate 54 trips in the morning peak hour and 47 trips in the PM peak hour. I also, based on the number of parking spaces and the number of employees and the fact that we've got a shuttle bus that we're going to be using to shuttle people back and forth between, let's say, Penn Station and various bus stops and throughout the neighborhood, I also added in shuttle bus trips. So what I did is I added the 15 shuttle bus trips in, 15 shuttle bus trips out during an AM peak hour to make up the difference between the number of employees and the number of parking spaces. And the trip generation for the proposed site would be approximately 22 trips more during the AM peak hour than the current industrial site would be generating. And during the PM peak hour, it would be about the same, about 47 trips in and out during the PM peak hour during the weekday. So in the traffic engineering, when we have less than 100 peak hour trips, we don't generally do a traffic impact study with traffic counts and analysis of intersections. And especially since the site was generating trips before during the weekday AM and PM peak hours, and now those trips are going to be very similar, slightly greater, maybe an additional trip every 3 minutes or so to and from the site. We didn't do a full traffic impact study, and in my professional opinion, based on my analysis of other facilities with small trip generations like this, we're not expecting to have any impact of the trips associated with this marijuana cultivation and processing facility. So in conclusion, it's my professional opinion that the proposed 67,467 square foot marijuana cultivation and processing facility will not have a negative impact on traffic operations along Foundry Road and the surrounding intersections.
Mr. Klein, did you also review I'm sorry.
Good.
Did you also review the circulation plan that was presented and the question from the planner's report regarding that circulation and the ADA spaces? Do you have an opinion regarding that?
Yes. So these trips for the trucks when delivering and picking up materials will be generally during off-peak hours, but even so, if a employee or a vehicle is parked in the ADA parking spot, when the vehicle comes in to deliver and it's there for 20 minutes or a half an hour, if the person has to leave during that half hour time period, let's say, they could move the truck out of the way if they have to. But for the most part, they'll know when the trucks are coming. They'll be able to adjust if they need to. And if somebody needs to move their car because they think they're going to have to leave in a few minutes, they can leave their car early. So it's really just a matter of managing the traffic, the deliveries, and the employees. And since it's all one development, one user, they'll be able to adjust that as they need to.
And it will be all employees in the parking lot because no public is invited to the site. There's no retail here. This is employees only, correct?
Correct. That's what I meant. They'll all be controlled by the same entity, the employees and the deliveries.
And if the board's engineer really has an issue with the ADA space location, they can be moved to a different place. But it's our opinion that being near the front door, it's the best place for them.
It's actually where it needs to be. It's got to be the closest to the access into the building. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
We're open to questions from the board.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any commissioners with regards to this application? Oh, this testimony. Pardon me. Seeing none, your next witness, Ms. Carey.
Thank you very much. We have Sam Bellamy, our professional planner, is next. If we can have him sworn, please.
Your next witness?
Sam Bellamy, our professional planner.
Good evening.
Okay.
He's on.
He's on. His hand is up.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and your affiliation to this application.
Yes, my name is Samuel Bellamy. I'm the applicant's professional planner. I have not been before this board before, so let me know when you're ready for my qualifications.
Go ahead and put those on.
Counsel?
Okay. So I am a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. My license is current and in good standing. I am also accredited by the American Institute of Certified Planners. I have a master's in city and regional planning. I've appeared frequently before boards in New Jersey, including Irvington recently, Montclair, East Orange, Jersey City, Hoboken, among others.
And your license is from what university?
Rutgers University.
Thank you.
All right, you may proceed, Mr. Bellamy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Sam, just to start, it was the March 3rd, 2024 planners report that we were provided with. And again, except as to the question regarding circulation in the ADA space, we don't have any issues with the planners report from the board, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll just let you go then, unless you want me to ask you questions.
No, that's fine. I'll jump right into the variance relief. Brian really did introduce many of the variances that we're asking for tonight, but I'll back that up with some planning proofs. So we are seeking 6 bulk C variances. We're also requesting 2 design waivers. Both of those waivers are related to the loading bay size. In my opinion, that the variances can be granted both for the C1 hardship criteria and also the C2 benefits outweighing the detriment criteria. I'm going to pull back up the aerial exhibit that was shared as Exhibit A1. Here we go. So as Brian said, this is an irregular shape, what's known as a flag lot. Essentially you have this leg of the property that narrows down and creates the pole leading to the larger portion of the property in the front. So that really relates to all the bulk variances that we're asking for. One is the lot width. We have a narrow point of 26.33 feet here. And again, and that really only applies to the driveway, which provides a 2-way access into the site from Foundry Street and also the landscape buffer. As you get deeper into the lot, this is actually a substantially oversized lot. So where the building's proposed to be located in the parking area, you have a substantially wider lot that can accommodate both the proposed building and parking layout that we're proposing here tonight. As far as the maximum front yard setback, the requirement is to match the smaller setback of its neighbors. In this case, it would be 64.45 feet, and you can see that's measured to this building located here. Our proposed building will have a minimum distance of 234 feet. So again, that relates back to the flag lot condition. where you're entering the site through a driveway leading back to the building. So the building is actually located much further back. Zooming out a little bit, you can see the adjacent property to the south really doesn't have any building development. As you get to the corner here, there is a smaller lot that does have a proposed building at the corner. Again, I don't see any impact from having the building. It's located where it needs to be located, and really you can't have, it's a hardship to have a building located any closer to meet that front yard setback requirement. We're also seeking a variance for the orientation of the primary entrance. I'm going to switch here to the site plans prepared by the civil engineer. Second. So our primary entrance is located along the south facade of the building, which is actually the side yard in this case. The front facade would be this east facing facade facing Foundry Street. So the main entrance to the building is located in this corner here. Switching to the architect's plan, you can see that's where the vestibule and security entrance is located. So that's the main entrance. Going to the renderings of the building and the facade elevations. As you can see, this again is that primary entrance along the south facing facade. And then as you get to the corner where the primary entrance is supposed to be located, it actually does appear as the primary entrance. You have a staircase that leads down and goes all the way up through the building. So I think the architect did a good job of designing the building to really meet the intent of this ordinance, even though our primary entrance is actually located on a side-facing facade, which is directly access to the parking lot. So again, I think that meets that C2 criteria where the benefits there would outweigh any detriments. As far as the maximum impervious coverage, moving into the landscaping plan, there's a front yard maximum impervious coverage requirement of 55% is permitted. We're proposing 73%. Again, really the front yard is limited to this driveway entrance from Foundry Street, so we're very limited on what we could provide landscaping wise. We are providing a buffer where we can in this location with street trees lined across a bit. Overall, the site, we're substantially reducing the impervious coverage by approximately 21% down from the existing non-conforming 100% coverage to about 78.8%. So a substantial reduction in impervious coverage here. We're also meeting the minimum, the allowed maximum impervious rear yard coverage. We're proposing just 1% in the back here, where a maximum of 30% is actually permitted. Overall, the parking area itself, we're actually exceeding the requirements. We have 10 trees located in the parking area where 6 are required. We have 18% parking lot landscaping here. You can see where 10% is required, 52% parking lot shading where 35% is required, and overall street tree plantings, we have 25 where 1 is required. So we're meeting all those requirements, actually exceeding, going above and beyond. And again, it's a substantial reduction from what's there currently, and that's going to be a substantial improvement to this industrial property. We're also proposing a stormwater detention system that will further mitigate any stormwater runoff. And again, all those benefits, I think, would outweigh the detriments of this maximum impervious front yard area that's really related to this irregular shape of the property here. We do have another variance for the minimum front facade transparency. The architect did testify to that, so I would just agree. I would just say that I agree with his testimony. And again, this building was designed to really meet the intent of the ordinance, although due to the irregular nature and the yard definitions, our facades are a little flipped around from what they traditionally would be. As far as the excessive illumination at property lines, again, this is where you have some conflicting requirements. The cannabis cultivators have some specific requires for illumination. A foot candle of 3 should be at the within 10 feet of all building entrances, and a minimum of 1 foot candle should be maintained throughout the property. And that conflicts with the requirement from the general illumination requirement that caps the maximum illumination at 1. I'm trying to go to the lighting plan here as you get to the property line. So flipping to the sheet, the lighting plan, 1 second, just bear with me. So you can see here the main entrance of the building. That's where you get some of the brighter spots of 5.1 at the property line. That's the variance we're asking for. It does also exceed one in some other locations on the property as you get closer to the building. Again, this area is a generally industrial surrounding. There's no residential properties, so I really don't see any impacts from having the brighter illumination that meets the conditional standards for this type of use. I think overall, as part of the conditional use approval, you probably heard the security aspects. The lighting is part of that, so I think we're meeting the intent of the requirements, and again, the benefits would outweigh the detriments. As far as the design waivers, I think these can be granted in that they are reasonable and meet the intent of the standards. We had the 2 design waivers for the loading stall size. We're proposing 21-foot long loading bays where a minimum of 45 feet is required. You heard the testimony, the loading would actually occur outside of the building in the surface parking lot. And really the parking lot layout can accommodate the box truck. The base itself really just helps to have those packages go in and out and any deliveries. But the vehicles themselves wouldn't actually utilize those loading bays. So we are meeting the standard, the requirements for 2 loading bays, but really they function more as a move in, move out for access ease there. Overall, I think this project does promote the purpose of the municipal land use law. We do meet purpose A, which is to guide the appropriate use and development of the property. Again, this is a permitted conditional use in the I3 district, the cannabis cultivation and manufacturing. So permitted use, and generally, I think we're meeting the intent of all the zoning requirements here. I think the property itself does have sufficient space and an appropriate location for this proposed type of industrial use, and that's consistent with Purpose G, again, permitted conditional use, and the site itself is oversized, allowing for the size facility and parking layout that we're proposing. This definitely is a substantial improvement to what's there currently. So I think the architect really went through that, but we are promoting a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques, and that's consistent with Purpose I. Wrapping up with the negative criteria, I don't see any substantial detriment to the general welfare here. Again, it's a permitted use. We're generally compliant with all the bulk conditions, and really the variances themselves are related to the hardship here due to the unique shape of the property. Likewise, I don't see any substantial detriment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. The future land use plan does continue to identify this property as an industrial use. I think the project itself also does meet the policy and goals of the master plan by ensuring Newark's industrial district can support land uses that expand job opportunities for Newark residents and is connected and accessible to residential areas. So I think Paul provided that testimony about the employee base, and also we're providing for the shuttle to allow those residents to get to the site. And I think we're continuing to promote high quality development and urban design with the proposed facility. So just to summarize, I think we're meeting all the bulk variances, both the positive and negative criteria. Again, a lot of it relates to the hardship of the site pursuant to the C1 test. But also I think overall the improvements on the property that we're proposing would substantially outweigh any detriments, also consistent with the C2 criteria. That would conclude my direct testimony, unless Ms. Carey has any questions she would like me to answer.
No, Mr. Bellamy, thank you very much. I think you covered it well.
Thank you. Commissioners, do any of you have any questions for Mr. Bellamy? Seeing none. Does that complete the testimony?
That does complete the testimony.
Wonderful. At this time, is there any members of the public who have any questions with regards to this application? Please press *9 or raise hand.
Seeing none, Chair Richard.
All right. Given that there are no questions to be raised, we need a motion.
Chair, so move.
Second.
All right, moved by Commissioner James and seconded by Commissioner Purdy. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Chair Richard.
Present, not voting. And your application has been approved. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
The last two are yours, Mr. Barry.
Yes, they are.
All right. Number 9, Franklin Avenue area in need of redevelopment.
Thank you. Good evening, and I'm under oath from earlier this evening, so I'll remain sworn. Let me just share quickly my screen. The first area that we're going to talk about this evening is at the corner of Franklin Avenue and Ropes Place in the North Ward. Consists of blocks 750.01, lots 41, 43, and 59. The address is 865-873 Franklin Avenue collectively for those three parcels that encompass this vacant, mostly vacant corner lot that you see here. This property was before the board actually several times, but it's been quite some time now. It's been about 4 years since they were last before us. They had gotten an approval to replace the gas station that had been on the property at one time with a convenience store with some apartments above, but the property remains vacant and in its current state. I'll walk you through some photos of the site that were taken by me. As you can see, there's the remnants of some of the improvements that were on the property. These photos were taken back in September. Largely vacant lot. There's some walls, some pieces of old equipment. And then I had a follow-up site visit in February showing essentially the same conditions. There's a few areas that I'll zoom in on. There's an old used oil tank, old oil storage tank on the property near the southern property line, and just a lot of debris, as you can kind of see from these pictures. The site has become what I would call an attractive nuisance. There's a lot of litter, a lot of empty liquor bottles, various other kinds of less than wholesome garbage that's accumulated on the property. And then some of the remnants, as I said before. There's also a pipe, a PVC pipe that sticks up at an angle coming out from the ground that runs out to the curb onto the property. Here you can see it from the other angle. Represents a tripping hazard if you're on the site, but also a faulty arrangement and an obsolete condition when it comes to draining purposes. And you can see how the sidewalk has deteriorated where that pipe comes out right here, and some of the drainage affects Franklin Avenue. So for the reasons we have some obsolete improvements on the site, largely vacant, but some of the remnants of the former use at this point are creating a nuisance and a hazard to the neighborhood between the lack of supervision, let's say, and the litter that's accumulating on the property, along with the drainage issues associated with that pipe. So based on those conditions, the property meets criterion D, the study area meets criterion D of the local redevelopment and housing law. And it also meets criterion F, which indicates it's a smart growth area. It's less than a block away from light rail station that also doubles as a bus terminal just around the corner, and certainly would benefit from redevelopment in proximity to those resources. So with that, I would stop sharing and answer any questions that anyone has on this area.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I know the city wants to abate these issues, et cetera, but does the Economic Development Department, do they refer some of these issues to code enforcement, to cite some of these owners to eradicate some of these behaviors and so forth in the meantime? I know the ultimate goal, but now, is there anything that can be done to cite some of these owners for the debris and code violations?
Yeah, I could certainly refer to Ms. Juma, the zoning officer, that a lot of the code enforcement issues fall partially under her purview and partially under the purview of some of the inspectors. But I could make a recommendation, Commissioner, that they take a look at sending somebody out there. To my knowledge, there has not been any citations issued for this property, but I agree that in the interim, while we wait for a more long-term solution, it makes sense to try to keep things as clean as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Barry about Franklin Avenue?
We have someone from the audience with a hand raised, Chair.
Oh, I can't see it. Oh, Saeed. Okay. Where did he go? Good evening, Mr. Mehdi. Can you turn on your camera and take yourself off mute? Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Oh, pardon. You're going to be sworn in by the attorney, Mr. Beck.
Yes, good evening. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this board shall be truthful?
Sure, my name is Sayed Mehdi. Yes, I am the owner of this land, 865 Franklin Avenue.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. That's used to be. I used to have the gas station over there. I am the owner of that land, Sayed Family LLC, and now we are working with also with the township. We are going to. Before I got the approval with the 8 unit with the commercial, because it took me very long time to get the approval for that location. And after the COVID started, it took me like more than 2 years when I got the approval. Then after the approval, because construction cost went very high and my cost was too higher to build, then I spoke with the couple contractor, and everybody told me I have to go back to the township with the city of the Newark. That's my attorney is the Murphy, and he's working with the new project for that site. And if engineer or somebody have any issue, I can put the fence again over there. There used to be a fence, and we remove the fence. I can put the fence again. I have no problem. And if there's any cleaning issue, I can do the clean. There's not I do not hesitate to clean anything to keep my property up to date.
Thank you, Mr. Saeed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Jordan.
So, Mr. Syed, it took the planning board, the planner to bring this property before the planning board in order for you to try to do something to care for your property?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. First time I went to the city of Newark, that time was the gas station, and I was interested into the repair shop to the convenience store. Then the one time the city of Newark, they deny me the planning board due to some kind of the trees. I did not put the enough landscaping sign. Then the second time we changed the drawing, and I went again city of the planning board, your planning board, and they tie me, 4 say yes, 4 say no. Then I have no any other options. Then I do have the meeting with my engineer and with the city of the planner. That used to be a one person, I don't know the name. And he told me, Sayed, you have to demolish the building and you have to do everything multi-use, not only commercial, because that used to be a commercial gas station. Then I said, okay. Then that time when I went over there and I got the approval from the city of Newark for on the ground floor is a convenience store and 4 apartments on the first floor and 4 apartments on the second floor. Like 8 apartments and 1 convenience, 2 convenience store, 1 small convenience store, 1 big convenience store. That is just like 1 month before the COVID started in 2020. Then after the COVID started, the whole city was locked down, and I did not get the approval. It took me after that's after you guys approve and you guys review after 1 month or 2 months, and after the review came back after 1.5 years. Then because after the COVID, the construction cost was this much high. The building to build that approval was not worth because my doesn't meet my requirements, doesn't meet to build the building. Then I spoke with another engineer. I spoke with the attorney, and the attorney is working with the city of Newark right now to build over there 43 unit apartment. Is sometime very soon the application is coming in front of you guys. Yes, ma'am.
So in the interim, the vacant lot must be kept clean.
Ma'am, no problem. I can do it. No problem. Just give me, if I say you, I can promise you, if just give me 1 week, it will be clean and I can put the offense again. No problem.
Mr. Barry, what is it that the owner would need to do so that we don't have to decide on this property? What does he have to do?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that he has to do anything in particular. I don't know that he's objecting to the property being designated in need of redevelopment. But if he wishes to clean up some of the debris on the property, that's certainly to the benefit of the area. And he wants to add a fence around the property. You'd have to apply for a fence permit, go into the zoning office and take care of that. But I'm not sure that he's objecting to the proceeding this evening.
Sir, my point is, I am not talking about the permanent offense. I am talking about the temporary offense to cover up. If you want it to clean up, I have no problem. I can couple people hire tomorrow and they can clean up. That's not the issue. And if you want to put the offense over there, I can put the temporary offense over there. The rental offense or something like that.
Chair,
Yes.
Council, Mr. Beck, I think it would probably be in his best, ideal, since he already has an attorney, to work with his attorney to make sure that he abates all of these existing issues, because I can't see this application being approved if you do come back before this board and you have these existing issues. Especially now that we have seen it, visibly, and it's going to be the first issue that we raise, to see if you abated these current issues. But you did say you have an attorney, correct?
Yes, I do. Attorney Murphy, he's in Newark also.
Yeah. No, we're familiar with Chris Murphy, so I would suggest you have him go down to the zoning office and apply for the fence permit and abate these issues immediately.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner James. So where does that leave us?
So it leaves us at basically making a decision one way or the other. I mean, we've heard concerns and objectives to the application, have an opportunity to challenge them. But we have an application for the board that we have to make a determination on.
And if I may, Madam Chair, just to kind of reiterate the testimony that I offered in the exhibit that I showed, this is a non-condemnation redevelopment area. It's been properly noticed, and we've heard from the property owner this evening. I did not hear him object to the designation, so I would just ask the board to consider the evidence that I provided in the context of the redevelopment law, and that the property meets both criteria D and H under the local redevelopment and housing law, and that we could return a recommendation to the city council along those lines.
Mr. Barry, I know it's non-condemnation.
Correct.
So that means for the owner.
Right. For the owner, what that means is that he retains control over his property. The city cannot force him to sell it. The city cannot take it from him. He retains control over the property. So anything that happens as far as a redevelopment project will be with him as a partner and working with the city on getting something productive happening on his piece of property.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
All right, that said, is there a question? No, all right, so that said.
Madam Chair, I make a motion.
Chair, I'm sorry, Vice Chair, I'm sorry, this is Commissioner Bay, I just came back again. I'm sorry, I lost because I was out for 20 minutes because I had an hemorrhoid. Which resolution is this one, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes. Good end of it.
This is Franklin Avenue area.
Okay, I got it, thank you very much.
All right. I see that his attorney is on, that was why I took a pause. What are you saying,
Commissioner James?
Yes. Yeah, I just made a motion.
What was the motion?
The motion to go forward with John Barry's recommendation.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Noble. That means to send it to the councilman, Chair, Vice Chair?
Yes, we're getting ready to vote.
All right, I'm agreeing.
May,
Secretary, so the motion was presented by Commissioner James. Was it seconded by Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
All right. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy,
Yes.
Commissioner Baez,
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Chair Witcher.
Yes. All right. Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 10. It is Iberia area in need of redevelopment, 450 to 466 Market Street and 31 to 39 Jefferson Street.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. John Barry still under oath this evening. This area it's really the satellite parking lots across the street from where the Iberia restaurant operated for many years. There are two lots. One, Block 175, Lot 80, is a portion of what at one time was a railroad right-of-way that cut through the Ironbound neighborhood and has been a parking lot for many years. And then Block 175, Lot 1, a shell of a warehouse building that I'll show you in a moment that has also been used as a parking lot for a number of years. I'll show you some aerial images. This is the conditions in 2022. The conditions in 2010, you can see, I mean, it's a snapshot in time. There are far more cars in the image in 2010. It may just be coincidental. But you see in 2002, similarly, highly occupied. And then going back to 1995, when a little black and white and a little less clarity to the image, but you can see the warehouse structure was in place at that time. So this is the most recent image that I could find that shows when the warehouse building was in place. So it was demolished sometime in the late 90s, right a little before 2000. So for a long time now, the property has been in the conditions that you would see out there today, where you have a portion of this warehouse structure, exposed steel columns, and a portion of the masonry shell around the building. This is a look inside of what that shell looks like. Used for 66 many years as a parking lot, but is now essentially derelict with the closing of the Iberia restaurant. The property's fenced and gated. This is the view from the Congress Street side of the building, looking at, again, some of the dilapidation that's present with the remnants of the old building. Here's a view looking across the property from Congress toward Jefferson with the gated parking area and the old attendance stall for the parking lot that's now closed. You can see here, this is from the corner of Market and Jefferson. Tried to be sensitive while I was out taking pictures, but there is quite a bit of debris. Several people using the area as temporary housing, and generally attracting just kind of vagrancy and loitering along the frontage of the property because it's completely unsecured and unobserved at this point. The again, quite a bit of debris accumulating at different locations on the property, garbage all throughout, and some of the other evidence of the deterioration is happening on the site. So, in essence, it's a similar situation to what we were dealing with the previous matter, where we have, although in this case there's the remnants of the
It's frozen.
Mr. Barry, you may want to jump off and jump back in. There he is.
My apologies, Madam Chair. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now,
You can hear me. So
and we can see you.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know when I dropped off. I was talking. Did we get to when I was discussing the criteria A, B, and D?
No.
No. Okay. So criteria A. Did we get through the pictures showing
Yes.
the site? Okay.
The debris and all. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So criterion A is met by virtue of the buildings on the property being in dilapidated and unsafe and unsanitary conditions. Similarly, criteria B is based on the discontinuance of the former industrial commercial use of the property and the buildings having fallen into disrepair. And then criterion D is also met through the dilapidated conditions that are creating a detriment to the neighborhood. As you saw, the accumulation of debris, the attractive nuisance that the unattended site is providing. So very similar in a lot of ways to the situation that we reviewed on the Franklin Avenue application. In this case, a larger site, even more detrimental in my opinion, based on the structure and the unwholesome nature of that building. But ultimately, my opinion that this site meets all three criteria, A, B, and D. And again, this is a non-condemnation area, so there's no possibility of eminent domain or the city taking property from the property owner. It's intended to jumpstart the revitalization of these underutilized properties.
All right.
What?
Commissioner Jordan.
That's it. So, is the owner aware of this hearing right now?
Notice was given as is required. I believe that the owner is aware of this matter. Yes.
So, where do we go from here? In a sense, what if the owner wants to use the parking lot? Would there be requirements? What would happen?
So if the owner wanted to use the parking lot, well, they would, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I believe they would be required to get a license from the city to operate the parking lot. Is that correct?
Yes, they would be, but what about the building and the not the condemnation, but the, you know, the determination of an area in need of redevelopment? What effect does that have on them doing anything on this site?
Well, in the short term, the zoning doesn't permit parking lots as a standalone use. They may be able to argue that as a former parking lot, they could reactivate that use. That would be up to the zoning officer to look at and determine if that's the case. In the long term, the redevelopment designation would allow the city to either create a new redevelopment area, expand the existing riverfront redevelopment area that covers part of the site but not the entire site, and also to allow for things like tax abatements and redevelopment area bonds that enable larger scale projects to move forward.
Okay, I have something to work with, but not a lot. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. Are there any other questions from any of the commissioners? No. All right. I see we have two members of the public on the line. Do you all have any questions? If so, you can raise hands. Yeah, or press *9.
Seeing none, Chair Ritchie.
All right. If we need a motion, would someone like to present a motion?
Madam Chair, we have a review and adoption of the minutes.
Wait.
No, we still need a motion.
I put forth the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner James. Do we need a second?
Second.
All right, presented by Commissioner James, seconded by Commissioner Roundtree. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Purdy? Commissioner Purdy?
Yes.
Commissioner Baez?
Yes.
Commissioner De Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott Roundtree?
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Chair Richard?
Yes. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, we have memorialization of resolutions from the February 26th meeting. If I might, number one, CPB 2373, 790-792 Raven Boulevard. Number two, CPB 2399, 233-239 Oliver Street. 3, CPB 2401, 146-148 Pacific Street. And then we have for this evening, for March 11th, number 4, CPB 20-70, which is an extension, which is 20-34 Main Street. 5th is the Franklin Avenue AI NOR resolution. And 6th is the Iberia AI NOR resolution. And all those commissioners that voted affirmatively to approve the initial resolutions are permitted to memorialize same.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Beck. We're going to go back and do the review and adoption of minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from our February 26th, 2024 meeting?
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna do an all call, right? Everyone in favor of adopting the meeting, say aye. The meeting.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Thank you. And finally, who's gonna present the motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Okay, so the next meeting is going to be on Monday, March 25th, 2024. In the interim, everyone take care of yourselves and each other.